It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Zippies.
Ripping back to throw. Again, 9 seconds. Pressure from Kean Sloan. He's giving chase. Ripping across the middle. Intercepted by the Raiders at the 38-yard line. Devin Lafayette, go keep that football. The clock is down to 1 second. The Raiders are going to take a knee, and they're going to come to Houston and steal a win here in the preseason. They're heading towards the line with 22 seconds. O'Connell, he is at the line of scrimmage. He takes the snap. He's trying to push it into the end zone. He gets the push. Oh, if he's not there, they got to unpile. No signal yet. No signal. There it is. Touchdown. There it is. With 9 seconds on the clock, the tush push for AOC. And the Raiders march down the field 96 yards.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
That was a lot of fun right there. Those couple sequences that you just heard on the way in here on Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920. Really fun sequence to close out preseason game number 2, Raiders and Texans there in H-Town. And it was really, I'm sure, fun to watch on TV. I'm sure it was a lot of fun to listen to on the radio. But from my perspective, it was fantastic. I was taking you behind the scenes a little bit. I was standing in the radio booth for that final drive. Matter of fact, I was standing in the radio booth probably for the last couple drives there in the fourth quarter, getting ready for the postgame show, for the official postgame show for the game. And I was just standing behind Jason Horowitz. I'm standing behind Kirk Morrison in that final drive, knowing that the Raiders had to go 96 yards with no timeouts, was wondering how Aiden O'Connell was going to navigate that. So being able to be just a fly on the wall and listen to them interact, and Jason called the game, obviously Kirk on the color there, that was fun. And to see their enthusiasm and excitement, and kind of wondering when the drive started at the 4-yard line, how he was going to get up and down the field with no timeouts, and, knowing that you could look at the scoreboard and say, well, they got to have a touchdown. A field goal is not going to do anything for him, and as we saw, the place kicking probably wouldn't have done anything for him anyway if they did go kick a field goal. But just being able to see and hear, and the excitement, especially when Aiden O'Connell did, in fact, punch it in the tush push, and, there it is, and see Kirk jump up out of his seat, and Jason all animated. That was fun. Obviously, I didn't know how that drive was going to end. I didn't know if it was going to end in 3 and out. I didn't know if it was going to end in a turnover, or if the Raiders were going to find a way to get down the field and score. But just seeing that whole sequence for that whole final drive was a lot of fun. And, for those players and for the coach, I know it was a lot of fun to be able to get that W. When in the first half it looked one way, and then in the second half, it looked a complete opposite way. So the Raiders found a way to get a victory, like Jason Horowitz said on the call, steal a victory there in Houston. So a lot to get to on today's show. As you know, we're always going to bring it real strong. Got to shout out to Paul Padala back in Las Vegas after our week away in H-Town. And I'll tell you, it was a quick turnaround from the post-game show to doing some other duties that I had to do, to boom, jumping up and getting on the plane this morning and getting back here into Studio Q. But we made it. We made it work. We had a lot of fun, and here it is. We're that much closer now to the start of the regular season. But I got a lot of reaction from last night's game. Of course, we'll talk about it on the show today. Vinny Bonsignore will start us off coming up at 2:30, California Post and Raider Nation Radio 920's Morning Tailgate. He'll give us his thoughts on what he saw. He was on the call earlier today with head coach Clint Kubiak, who met with the media around 10 o'clock this morning. So Vinny will give you his thoughts on what he saw and what he thinks his team needs to do, and more importantly, moving forward. That'll be coming up at 2:30. At 3 o'clock, Mike Golic Sr. from the Golics on ESPN Radio. Longtime Mike and Mike, but just fantastic, just breakdown of football action in general. Does college as well for Notre Dame, but, he's that guy. He's always fun to catch up with. Always enjoy our convos whenever we get the opportunity to talk to him. So Mike Golic Sr. will join us coming up at 3 o'clock. We'll talk about Fernando Mendoza. We'll talk about the Raiders, the direction that this team is going, what he saw from that game last night, and obviously the Raiders winning it in the second half. But like I said, that's a conversation that I look forward to anytime we get the opportunity, wherever it is and whenever it is, to catch up with Mike Golic Sr. So he'll join us coming up at 3 o'clock. And then at 4 o'clock, another one of our favorite guests, Amber Theoharis, SiriusXM NFL Silver and Black Show. She'll give us her thoughts on what she saw and what she's thinking about this team now that they have 2 preseason games officially in the book. So those are the guests that we have lined up. Vinny Bonsignore, Mike Golic Sr., and Amber Theoharis will also take you inside the Raiders locker room. Let you hear from Mike Washington Jr., who all he does is break off big runs, apparently, because his second week in a row, he's had an opportunity to, really set the tone running the rock. And to me, seems like a guy that could really be that good wingman for Ashton Jeanty, a guy that's obviously very, very talented, a guy that's not going to be on the field all the time because it's the Ashton Jeanty show, but knowing that he can complement him really well, and when he's in the game, you don't feel like that there's a big drop-off when it comes to talent. That's, I think, the biggest deal when it comes to Mike Washington being part of that running back room, that running back by committee room. So we'll play that sound post-game, the locker room sound. Brandy Flores was able to collect that for us last night, and she also did a recap of the game that she put out on our Raider Nation Radio 920 social media. You'll hear her recap of her thoughts of what she saw, what she heard from Clint Kubiak following the game, Fernando Mendoza, and others inside the locker room as well. So we're locked and loaded, man. We got a lot coming to you on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippies. And I think the fact that it is Aloha Friday makes today that much better. I don't know what was going on, but I fell asleep on the plane this morning. As you do, you get bored, you fall asleep on the plane. Plus, I'm tired. It's been a very busy week that we spent in Houston. Got up super early, got on the plane. There was a point, Ari, where we were getting close to getting back to Vegas. I think we were going to be landing in like 20 minutes or so. And all of a sudden I did some weird movement. Like all of a sudden I did some weird shimmy or some weird shake. And I kind of looked like a crackhead. Like, I'm not going to lie. I felt like a crackhead at the moment. And I realized I was having a dream that I was driving my car, but I was driving my car in reverse. And I went to hit the brakes, and it wouldn't stop.
Whoa.
And so I got so panicked. So I was like, just imagine you're hitting the brake with your foot, and it's not stopping. That's what I was doing when I was in the plane. So there was probably, people around me thinking, what the hell's he going through? What's this crackhead? He's been leaning against the side of the plane, and all of a sudden this dude's going through he's up here shimmying and shaking. I don't want to be on the plane next to this guy. Who knows what he's about to do? So that was my experience then, and then when I realized that it was just me dreaming, I guess I was a little tired.
Were you woken up abruptly by hey you okay?
No, it was I woke up because I was shimmying and shaking, and I was trying to hit the brakes. I was hitting the brakes, and they weren't stopping.
Why did my mind immediately? This is not a good spin on this, but it immediately took me to the Hypnotized video with Biggie, where they're 100 in the reverse.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man, and honestly, like I said, I don't know why I was going in reverse to begin with, but when I couldn't stop, man, I hit the panic button. I couldn't stop. The damn brakes went out, or they didn't work, or I was just like, what's going on? And all I could imagine was like, I'm about to hit something. I'm about to hit something in my car. I'm going to be so angry. I'm going to be so mad. It would not have been a very good Aloha Friday. So I'm glad that was just a terrible dream, and I'm good to go. So I think that's what happens when you're on the road. And you're kind of delusional.
Yeah, the time zones and everything, yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. I was so delusional last night. I finished the post-game show, got back to the Airbnb, knocked out the podcast. I couldn't tell you one word that I said on that podcast last night. I could not tell you because I was so delirious. I literally fell asleep while I was waiting for it to download. I fell asleep. And then I realized, I am just done. I am so exhausted. So, I mean, again, being on the road, covering, the team or different events like we do here quite a bit here on Raider Nation Radio 920 is always great. But, man, it is a labor of love. And when you get home and you get to put your head on your own damn pillow, it is such a blessing. So, as much as I appreciate being on the road, I was glad to be there and check out all the different, things that were going on with the joint practice and obviously the preseason game as well. And, seeing people that I hadn't seen in a while, family and friends, and getting to link up with John McClain, all that is great. All that is fantastic. Mm-hmm. There is nothing that beats laying your head on your own stinking pillow. Right?
Yes.
I'm just saying.
No disagreements from anyone, I'm sure, on that. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I haven't stopped since we got to the crib. Have not stopped yet. So at some point late tonight, I'm going to lay down and I don't know when I'm going to get up.
I'm doing the math here. You got about 8 hours.
If anything, 8 hours. I got way more than that, brother.
Did I do the math wrong?
No, it's it's a lot, but
something
it's all
like
good.
That.
Yeah, and we are good to go, though. So here we go, full throttle. Vinny Bonsignore at 2:30, Mike Golic Sr. at 3, Amber Theoharis at 4 o'clock. Before we get into the opening drive, we got to hear from our guy E-Rob. He's actually from Houston, so there you go. That's how you could tie that in together, right? Yesterday, the whole week was important. Tomorrow, the whole weekend will be important. But today's important as well. And why is that?
Because every day matters. The older you get, the more you start appreciating day in and day out. Because you know I can't get that time back. I'm in the business of saying, not if I would have did this or if I would have did that. I'm in the business of now.
I'm in the business of now as well. So right now, let's jump into the opening drive.
The opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM is brought to you by Paul Padala. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
So coming off the game, obviously it's really easy where we're going to go on this Aloha Friday when it comes to the opening drive. Overall thoughts of what you saw last night, what did you like, and what concerns you the most? That's the most important part. You know, what did you like? And what concerns you the most and why? Obviously, the why is always what we're looking for. So hit us up. Let us know your thoughts at 702-365-9200. Looking for your overall thoughts of what you saw as the Raiders now have completed 2 preseason games with one more coming up on Thursday against the San Francisco 49ers at the house at Allegiant Stadium. What did you like and what concerns you the most? I'll just go ahead and start. What I liked is I liked that they kept fighting. Right, even though it was doom and gloom in the first half, I keep saying it was a tale of two halves. The Texans beat the Raiders 20-3 in the first half, and then the Raiders shut them out 19-0 in the second half. So I just like the fact that they kept on fighting. They could have easily said, "Hey, this is not our day. We're getting waxed here. Let's just get out of here and try to stay as healthy as possible and get back to the practice facility and we'll get to work and get prepared for the final preseason game." Or they could have taken the approach, well, preseason games don't matter, wins and losses don't matter. But you could tell that it mattered to those dudes, whether they were fighting for a spot on the squad, if they are a fringe player on the squad, like guys that know that they have a roster spot. They're not worried about that. But you could just see they were all cheering for each other. When I see Max and I see Ashton and I see Brock and I see guys like that all cheering on the dudes who are on the field, that just kind of lets you know that these dudes are together. They're supporting each other. That is a big deal. Now, what concerns me is some of the same issues that we've seen, we saw some more, right? I mean, everyone's going to go immediately to the Fernando Mendoza pick six, right? I mean, nationally, that's all that they've been talking about today. From a week ago, it was Fernando needs to start. He looks great. He's this, that, and the other two. Yeah, see, he's not ready. The Raiders are making the right decision by starting Kirk Cousins. He clearly is not ready to go yet. It's just – and that's how it's going to go. Right? I mean, you just have to understand that, take it with a grain of salt. It's going to go week to week. Next week, he might go out there and light it up, and everyone's like, man, I told you he was ready. He's great. He's good to go. Let's do it, right? I mean, that's just gonna be what it is. But, one, I was disappointed that we didn't see the first team offensive line for at least a couple drives. That bothered me because I want to see this offensive line come together. So because we haven't got that opportunity to see them come together, and now they just missed one game where they could at least been out there for a couple drives, not that it was going to make it or break it, not that all of a sudden they play a couple drives against the Houston Texans, they were going to be some well-oiled machine. But the more time on task you get, the better. So that, to me, that was just one of those concerns. I would have liked to seen those guys go out there and participate, but I'm not the coach. I don't make those decisions. And clearly Clint Kubiak, in his words, not mine, he saw enough on Tuesday on film from what they did in the joint practice to be able to allow those starters not to play yesterday. The run defense in the first half still bothered me. The fact that the Raiders couldn't get off the field on 3rd and long or 2nd and 15, that still bothered me. I don't think there's a worse way they could have started that game. Yesterday, they allowed the Texans to go right down the field and score, and then the pick six. Also, you look up and they're down 14-0 before you even had a chance to sit down with your popcorn, right? There were still some folks that were in line at the concession stand and all of a sudden looked up and they're like, damn, they're down 14-0 already, right? I mean, it just happened in a blink of the eye. And, again, to their credit, they bounced back and they were able to, slow down the run in the second half. But, you got to take that with a grain of salt when you're talking about the preseason. There was areas like that, things like that, small things, small details that that concern me. But the other thing that concerns me, and I asked head coach Clint Kubiak about it this morning on the Zoom call when he met with us, and that was about the wide receivers. Hey, what did you learn about the wide receivers from the past couple days, the joint practice and also the game? And he said we took a step back. I mean, that was just Clint Kubiak being painfully honest. He learned a lot. They took a step back. They need to get better fast. They're still looking for that guy to be accountable. They're still looking for that guy to help contribute on Sundays. So an area of concern that a lot of people have had and said, hey, the wide receiver room, I don't know if it's really going to stand up to what it needs to stand up to. I don't know if the Raiders have that guy. And I know I've been very, okay, well, let's see what they have. Go ahead and, run the wide receiver by committee, see how it works. They clearly have a plan. They went out and they targeted Speedy Naylor immediately. They got Trey Tucker coming back. Besh is going to be in year 2, Dante Thornton Jr., right? And see what you have, and then if it doesn't work, then you go back and you go and address that next offseason, which is probably what they're going to do. But to me, it's concerning that at this stage of the game through 2 preseason games, Clint Kubiak is saying they took a step backwards. That is the big concern right there. So someone's got to step up. Malik Benson's been the guy that we've been giving a lot of praise to. Right, so if we can give him praise, we have to be able to give him criticism too. So I know personally I've given him a lot of credit for being that guy that's available and on the same page with Fernando Mendoza, and they have a good chemistry going. But he got overzealous. He got overexcited. He thought, okay, I got 6 in my mind. Right, I'm going to score a touchdown. Here goes a really good play. Boom, I'm going to catch the ball, and I'm going to turn and run up the field, probably score. Problem is he tried to turn and run up the field before he caught the ball. You don't get those back. You don't get do-overs, right? I mean, that just costs your team points. You've got to do that. That's a young mistake. And I know it's just a mistake. It's a young wide receiver. It's a guy that, is obviously going to learn from that. But those are teachable moments, right? Instead of being able to put some points up on the board or put your team in position to put some points on the board, you put the ball on the ground. You got to be able to secure the ball. You got to be that reliable target. You want to be so reliable that, your quarterback, no matter if it's Kirk Cousins or Fernando Mendoza, they're willing to throw the rock to you. They're willing to trust you because they know that you're going to make the play. You're going to make it happen, especially on that. It wasn't like it was a tough catch. It was right there. He just didn't go through the process, right? The fundamental breakdown was there. So that's probably my biggest concern is that the head coach has said that the wide receivers, what he learned about them over the last couple days, joint practice and the game, they've taken a step back and they're still looking for someone to be accountable and contribute on Sundays. But let us know your thoughts, 702-365-9200. Overall thoughts on what you saw last night. What did you like and what concerns you the most? Let's go ahead and hear from our guy. Speaking of wide receivers, let's hear from our guy, former Raider wide receiver Ryan Hogue, who joins us now on the phone lines. And Ryan, what's up, my man? What did you see from the game last night? What were you overall, I guess, pleased? What did you like and what concerns you the most?
Well, I think the thing that concerns me the most, Q, and thanks for having me on, as always, Ari, always a pleasure, is that the win masked a lot of our deficiencies, right? I think it's very evident that, from a first and second string perspective, we're not where we need to be when it comes to, status quo in the NFL. I think our third stringers competed well in both the first and second games, and that tells me that we're drafting the right way and have kind of the last 2 years, and that our future is bright. I think where we lack is that starting 22 and that first string behind that. And I think people are going to get caught up in the fact that we won as opposed to really looking at, okay, that first half, really kind of highlighted where we fall short, and that's, up front for sure.
I like it. That's a good point that you bring up, and that's why I didn't want to try to take too much from the win. Like I said, it was fun to see it, but the team still, they have a long way to go, right? I mean, at halftime, I went from saying this is a 6-7 win team to maybe even 4 or 5. Like it felt like that could have been a slight step back. What are your thoughts? Oh, he's gone?
Yeah, he dipped quick.
Oh,
I guess
okay. Well, there you go.
Mic drop. There you go.
All right, there you go. He was like, I'm in and I'm out. But no, I could appreciate that. Really good, good feedback there from Hoagie, Ryan Hogue, here with us on Raider Nation Radio 920. Let's go out to L.A., talk to our guy, Houston. Houston in L.A., welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, I like that, man. Ryan Hogue, he was like a fan like me or something. In and out. I guess he wasn't even scheduled, you know?
Yeah. No, it was impromptu. That's what it is, man. We're all family around here, so anyone could drop by the crib. Like, you don't even have to call and say you're coming by. Just show up at the crib, man. Someone's always welcome.
Oh, man. Hey, that's real pleasant. You feel me? Hey, Q. Hey, you know what? I did not dig. Like, one thing that I did not like, we all know Houston is a far better team than we are right now as it stands. You know, they're a better team than the Raiders. They had most of their starters out there balling, Q, compared to the Raiders. And I know it's preseason for our players as well, but it's kind of preseason, you ask me, for the coaches on that note, man. Because if anything, the way them cats have been getting blown out during practice, I mean, the first thing you do, man, and I think you even said on one of your shows, Q, like, the only people that need to be sitting on that bench was Brock Bowers, Max Crosby, and, man, I can't even say, I would say Colton Miller because he gets hurt so much, but he needs to work too. So that to me was a little negligent. You know, I like what Stooks was doing. Stooks was getting his ball on. He might be able to take a first-string spot. But outside of that, man, I mean, it's like if you got Houston's first team out there, I mean, expecting the inevitable, bro. I mean, we had straight second-teamers out there to start the game off. It was like, I know the communication wasn't off because the coaches talk to each other all the time, but I would have, after getting your ass kicked on Wednesday, whatever, Tuesday, whatever day that was, you come on back out with your first teamers and y'all both ball against each other and y'all see what's happening. Because it's like, that to me was like a give-up play. You know, kind of like 3rd and 14 and you just do a draw play or something or just run. You feel me? I like that.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you. And I'll tell you this, man. The Texans actually had their second teamers out there to start the game yesterday in that preseason game. They saw what they wanted to see in the joint practice on Tuesday, so they didn't need to. Matter of fact, D'Amico Ryans changed his mind on what he wanted to do because they did so well in the joint practice. But that was my point. From what I saw, and I'm not a coach, never tried to pretend to be a coach, not that guy at all, not trying to be smarter than the coach, I feel like the Raiders coaching staff already had a plan in place what they were going to do. Like, they already said, like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have this joint practice. We're going to put in the work, and then we're going to get, Fernando a half, and we're going to get our backups in there. We're not going to have our starters play. I feel like that's what they said even before the joint practice. And the reason I say that is because what I saw in joint practice, the starters should have been playing. Outside of Brock, outside of Max, they should have been playing. I know Clint Kubiak told us during, the presser after the practice on Tuesday, the film would determine who played. I can't imagine that he saw a lot on film that was great to the point where he thought that they didn't need to play, that Quay Walker didn't need to be out there, Nakobe Dean didn't need to be out there, the offensive line didn't need to be out there, right? The safeties didn't need to be out there. I really do feel like that they could have got some valuable work in, even if it is against the second team of the Texans. They're a deep team, so I thought that could have gone a long way. But, again, I'm not a coach. I'm not trying to second-guess them. It was just my observation, my opinion from where I was, my 50,000-foot view of the practice. Let's go out to Pittsburgh, PA, and talk to our guy Jim. Big Jim, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, how's it going? As you know, I'm a mailman, right? Yep. And sorting my mail through this morning, and I came across Sports Illustrated, and they had the top 20 college players. Now, you just mentioned about getting a wide receiver in the offseason. Mm-hmm. Now, they have this kid from Ohio State, and I think if he's, up on the board while when the Raiders are up in the first round, they should grab him. Because I don't know if they have enough money to get a wide receiver free agency.
Right.
I don't know if you're going to get a number one receiver to play for the Raiders. Anyway, is the NFL kidding me with McCoy's penalty?
I know. I know. That was a terrible penalty.
Troy Aikman said this is a new rule. Now, I can understand if he gave the middle finger to I was talking about this in my office today. He gave the thumbs down, and it gets to 15 yards? Right. Are you kidding me? Is this football or flag football?
Right. I'm with you.
Great play. It would have converted to a fourth down.
Yep.
And I don't get it. Why?
No, I'm with you. I tweeted out right after that. That was one of the worst penalties I've seen called in a very long time. That was terrible. I understand when they do the throat slash, but he didn't do a throat slash. He literally just did the 2 thumbs down, and that was it. Guys do it all the time. I've heard the conversation. Well, he was standing over him, so maybe that's why. But that was a bad call. I thought that was a terrible call. So there's that. But thank you for the call. Do appreciate you. Jeremiah Smith is a dude, right? He is an absolute monster. If he could have been playing on Sundays a couple seasons ago. 2024, all he did is go for 1,315 yards, had 15 touchdowns. All he did last year is get 1,243 yards in a down year and 12 touchdowns. He's got 27 total touchdowns in college through 2 seasons and almost over 2,500 yards, 163 catches. Yeah, that dude is a monster. He's going to be, I do believe, now we always find someone that emerges, right, in college football season, similar to Fernando Mendoza. We weren't talking about Mendoza at this time of the year last year going into the college football season like, oh, he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. Nobody was talking about him. So somebody will emerge as well in that same situation. But I do believe, as it stands right now, Jeremiah Smith is going to be that dude that anyone who needs a wide receiver, and even teams that don't need a wide receiver, are going to look at him and say, boy, sure would be nice to have that guy on the squad. Yeah, the Raiders could definitely use him. He could have been their number 1 wide receiver probably 2 seasons ago. Just keeping it a buck, not trying to slight anyone, but that dude is he's uber talented as far as I'm concerned. But thanks so much for the call, Jim, and be safe out there delivering that mail. Keep that feedback coming at 702-365-9200. Got a lot of texts coming through. Overall thoughts on what you saw last night. What did you like, and what concerns you the most? Hit up the text line again, 702-365-9200. We'll ask Vinny Bonsignore that, plus more, next here on Raider Nation Radio 920.
That was the opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM. Brought to you by Paul Padala. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
To the first question, I know I said it last night, I just don't think it ever benefits a player to know that they have a spot secured, and if there's always a little bit of uneasiness about that, that benefits the whole team, the player and the team. And as far as the secondary, overall as a defense, I thought we took a step forward last night. I think we got a lot of good work in the joint practice covering, some new guys, and those guys need another game under their belt against San Francisco to continue to get better.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Let's go inside the huddle with Vinny Bonsignore, sponsored by Dos Caras Tequila and presented by the Realty One Group.
We hear head coach Clint Kubiak on the way back talking about designating the starting quarterback and how he doesn't think it really serves any purpose right now, and that goes for anyone's starting position, just so they feel more comfortable and they start to have a little bit of a letdown. So he wants to keep up with that competition. And then also he talks about the secondary and them taking a step forward. That was our next guest, Vinny Bonsignore. That was his question that he asked to Clint Kubiak earlier today. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920. I threw the question out there on the text line. Overall thoughts on what you saw last night. What did you like and what concerns you the most? And real quick, I want to throw this text out there to John, and hopefully we get a good response from him. Q, this is where I don't understand about our fan base and yourself. What do fans really expect? We are one of the worst teams and have been for a while. Sometimes I feel like we're not realistic about self-awareness about the team. And my only response to that is, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm not sure what expectations you're talking about. And I think that we've all taken a very understanding approach when it comes to this team. I think we've been very, as a matter of fact, that this team is a 5, 6, 7-win team, probably at best, to the point that a lot of fans don't like that. But I think that we've been pretty consistent with that, so I just need a little bit of clarification. That's why I wanted to bring that up, so feel free to hit the text line and clarify. I do appreciate the text at 702-365-9200. Vinny Bonsignore does join us now on the phone lines, and he's still in H-Town getting ready to make his way back to Vegas. I am back in the home studio now to catching an early flight, and Vinny, I'll ask you the same thing that I asked Raider Nation. What did you see last night that you liked, and what concerned you the most from the Raiders?
Well, what I liked was the response from Fernando Mendoza after the mistake that he made on the pick six. He just bounced right back, which I'm not surprised at. As Clint Kubiak said afterwards, that's who he is, and that's who he's been, and that's why I'm not afraid or worried about the good, bad, or indifferent that's going to eventually happen to him when he does
get out there as the starting quarterback and goes through that inevitable learning curve, and there's going to be some rocky roads. You know, I went back and looked back. Matt Stafford and Brett Favre have thrown both 32 pick-six touchdowns in their career. Can you believe that? And so if guys like that who have won Super Bowls and MVPs and things like that can survive, moments like that, I'm pretty sure Fernando will too. That's why, when people talk about a regression yesterday, so 32 times Matthew Stafford and Brett Favre had regressions. Sometimes it's just part of being a football player, and sometimes it's part of being, a little bit of a gunslinger, which I think is not the worst thing sometimes, because for every one of those, there's probably 5 great plays, maybe even more that come with that kind of mentality. So anyway, that I liked it. I liked how he responded. I've liked how he's played throughout. I've been on record as saying I'm not real high on these wide receivers right now. I think Malik Benson is going to, as of right now, it looks like, he has a chance to be a nice role player. I think there's some role-playing wide receivers on this team. I just don't see the pizzazz that I think you have to see at that position. I don't like right now where the run defense has been, especially in the interior of the defensive line. I think that's an issue that needs to get either schemed up for this year or fixed down the road. Those, off the top of my head, those are a couple of things, that jump out at me.
Well, one of the things that stood out to me was what you said about the wide receivers as well, and I asked Clint Kubiak to finish up the media session earlier today about the wide receivers and what he learned, and he said that they took a step back. That concerned me, that they took a step back. What did you think when he responded the way he did to my question?
Yeah, in retrospect, that's why Jalen Naylor playing wasn't that big of a surprise based on what Clint said. I mean, Jalen's a quote-unquote starter, but he was out there, and obviously they need to see more from Jalen Naylor. And I was of that ilk watching in training camp. Nobody in the wide receiver room really stood out. It's why, and we both have a massive amount of respect for Trey Tucker, but when people started talking, Trey Tucker could be Clint Kubiak's JSN, I'm like, JSN's like a special player. There's nobody on the roster right now of the wide receivers that is of that kind of caliber. This isn't just numbers. There's reasons why guys get numbers like that. It's because they're really great football players all the way around, and I just don't see that from the wide receiver room. And obviously Clint wants to see more as well, as he should. Even at the level of talent that they do have in the wide receiver room right now, he just needs to see those guys be better versions of themselves, and we'll see if the challenge was heard and heeded.
Vinny Bonsignore is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. I almost called you Mike Washington Jr. Because I wanted to ask you about Mike Washington Jr. Then Vinny's like, man, that would be a change of pace, huh? But what did you think about the rookie running back who once again caught everyone's attention with that big run that he had early in the game?
Yeah, by the way, that would make me fast for the first time in my life. The speed was never my thing. I could hit the baseball, but running the bases was kind of a challenge for Vinny. But anyway, that would be nice. I'd like to experience what it feels like to be fast like that. You can't be anything but impressed with Mike Washington. I know maybe we have a little bit of a different opinion on this, but I thought Dylan Lowry played good again last night as well. I think there's a nice mixture at running back. Of all the positions with the Raiders, I feel really strongly about the running back room and the tight end room. I think there's a lot of different flavors. I think there's high-end talent in Ashton Genty, and I think that there's, a really intriguing second running back in Mike Washington, and a nice, what I think will be a role player for Dylan Lowry. So, you give him the ball, and he's got power. He's got speed. He did get chased down. Again, I do wonder if he didn't get, kind of banged into a little bit as he was making his way through the line of scrimmage, and he had been able to just sustain that full head of steam if he would have been able to take that one to the house. But that's something that he's going to have to think about as well. But otherwise, you can't be anything but impressed with Mike Washington, and now if he can be an asset also in the pass game, that makes him even that much more of an asset.
Well, yeah, and with this Clint Kubiak-led offense, there has to be a run game. You mentioned the tight ends as well. Mm-hmm. They've obviously got some really good tight ends with Ian Thomas being the third, Mike Mayer, and then, of course, Brock Bowers goes without even mentioning his name. But, Vinny, none of it matters that the offensive line is not in place, and they're not doing their job. And they didn't get any burn last night. The first team offensive line didn't get any run. Was that a missed opportunity, or do you kind of understand the thinking behind not putting those guys out there at least for a couple series?
A little bit of both. I understood it, but I would have done it differently. I just feel like this first-team offense just isn't, in a place where giving up reps like that is what I would do. And I know that they worked hard on Tuesday. That was a hot, humid day in Texas, and they were going against a really formidable, obviously defensive front. It was a physical day. And I get it, and I also understand from Clint's perspective, he may have laid out that plan beforehand. And I think the last thing that he wants to do or start doing, and I know talking to professional athletes, they just don't like this. When you deviate from the plan, when you ask me to prepare for one thing and then completely change it up. I know sometimes things are out of your control, but that's in his control. So if he told the guys, look, you're gonna get 50, 60 reps on Tuesday, and that's going to be your work week this week. That's your game, and they go out there and have that mentality, and then all of a sudden you pull a reverse on them. That's probably not a trend that you want to be starting or a trait that you want to start having as a head coach. So if that is what he told them, that was the plan that he outlined, then I respect him sticking to it. I think I would have just approached the whole week a little bit differently, though, going in.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I kind of got that sense as well last night listening to Fernando Mendoza when he said that, I don't know if it was Brandy or who asked him about getting his first opportunity to start. And he said, well, that's the plan that we had going in. And, the coach said to keep it internal. And so we had a plan. So to me, it felt like it was already predetermined what they were going to do in this game, who was going to play, who was going to start, regardless of what happened on Tuesday in that joint practice.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You could talk to, even a professional baseball player. If you get to the park and you've been preparing all day to play, I'll just use this as an example because I've talked to guys about this. You've spent your whole day preparing to play. Then you get to the park and your name's not in the lineup, right? And that's nice. The manager's giving you a day off. But if you talk to guys, they'll say this: why didn't you tell me the night before so that I could actually not enjoy a day off, but give my mind everything the day off? Because if I don't know that I have the day off, then I'm spending the entire day preparing as if I'm going to play, and that's a whole different thing than actually getting the day off. The day off is designed to give guys that opportunity to kind of take a little bit of a break. But if you're not allowing them to take that break, then it kind of defeats the purpose. So communication is extremely important on one way or the other. If I'm going to play, if you're a reserve player, you kind of want to know before you get to the ballpark, hey, this is going to be your day, so prepare and be ready to come to the park ready to play. So it goes both ways, but I think communication is really important. And if you start getting into the habit of pulling out the rug from underneath people's feet or just making a change at the last second, just because that's what you decided to do. Now, sometimes circumstance plays into it. Somebody gets hurt or whatever the case might be. I need you. I apologize. I said you had the day off, but obviously you could see we need you today. That's a whole different thing. But if you're just haphazardly doing it and changing course, that gets old really quick.
Just got a couple more questions for you. And again, Vinny Bonsignore is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920 and Say Roughness. What did you think about trading Stukes and how he's really grown from week one against the Cardinals to what you saw from him last night?
Yeah, I really liked how he played last night, and I think you hit the nail on the head on our show. You saw a much more confident player, and he was in attack mode last night. There was that one play where they dumped it off, and we were sitting right next to each other, and I was like, oh, wow, that's good. And then all of a sudden, here comes Traden Stukes, like a heat-seeking missile to make the stop for no gain, and it was like, wow, okay, he read it, he saw it, he reacted, he didn't hesitate, he didn't overthink it, he just went into attack mode and showed you what he's capable of doing when he is in that mode. And that's to me, was a confident football player who trusted everything about what he was seeing, what he was supposed to do, what he was supposed to do. And we saw that on a number of occasions last night.
What do you think about the right guard position? Who do you think has the upper edge at starting that spot? We obviously didn't see JPJ last night. We didn't see him except for in street clothes on Tuesday. Caleb Rogers is getting the nod. Is it the Caleb Rogers show, or do you think someone else can step up, or maybe even JPJ can battle back to get that spot?
Yeah, I think that JPJ is still firmly, in the mix there. He just needs to get out there and be able to show that he's available. That's been the issue with JPJ, unfortunately. And, after a while, that starts coming, that starts becoming a part of the thought process, because it's one of those things where, hey, if we can't consistently be able to rely on him, maybe he should just be the backup, and have a guy that's shown that he can stay on the field more in a Caleb Rogers or whoever that other option might be. So I think it would play into it, but I think for right now, hopefully you got 1 more week, 2 more weeks basically for one of those guys to solidify the job. But it behooves JPJ to get out there and stay out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see sooner rather than later. We're assuming, right, that he will be out there and continuing with that competition that he's got going on with Caleb Rogers. Well, great stuff as always, Vinny. We definitely appreciate you. What are you working on, my man, that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, had some takeaways from last night's game. Also, I have a story that's going to be posting tomorrow, just about examining why Clint Kubiak is not ready to name Kirk Cousins the starting quarterback. And I think we're all assuming that this is about Kirk Cousins, but it also might be about Fernando Mendoza. Hey, we want to say that you could be rewarded to keep pushing this as far as you can. Don't give up. There's still an opportunity potentially for you to be the starter. So stay in attack mode, understand that you still have an opportunity, and we're not closed off to that, and therefore stick with it and keep fighting. So maybe this is also a message to Fernando Mendoza that, look, don't settle for the fact that you're going to be the second string quarterback right now. You still have an opportunity to be the starter.
I like it. We'll definitely be on the lookout for that. Of course, the California Post, you can find all of Vinny's writing. You can hear him on the morning tailgate, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with Clay Baker and Vince Sapienza here on Raider Nation Radio 920. Vinny, great stuff as always. Have safe travels, my man, and we'll be talking soon.
All right, brother. Have a great show.
Will do. Thanks so much. Vinny Bonsignore right there. Still in H-Town, but he's West Coast headed. That is for sure. So many thanks to Vinny. We do appreciate him, and we appreciate you. We'd like to hear from you. 702-365-9200. Overall thoughts on what you saw last night. What did you like, and what concerns you the most? We hear from you as we close out hour number 1 of the show next here on Raider Nation Radio 920.
No way on God's green earth is Fernando Mendoza starting the season when you have Kirk Cousins there. Again, you have to think of the other 52 players to at least start the season off trying to be competitive with all the changes that you made in the offseason. It's a new year. Everybody starts 0-0, and you don't have to start the rookie. If you just had a bunch of young people in the room, okay, I get it. But you have Kirk Cousins to start. Let Fernando Mendoza get the reps, grow, and then put him in at some point during the season.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness, brought to you by Zippies.
That is the debate that has been going on, well, ever since the Raiders drafted Fernando Mendoza. When do you play him? You heard the sounds of Mike Golic Sr. there talking about you got to start Kirk Cousins. He's there. You have options. That's kind of where I've been the whole time with this conversation, is that Kirk Cousins will get the start when the team feels comfortable in Fernando Mendoza going in there, or when the team feels comfortable in the team itself. Might not even be Fernando Mendoza. It might be the parts that are around him, from the offensive line to the playmakers, right? Everyone involved. They could definitely wait. And like I said, they have options. Obviously, a lot of it's going to be performance-based as well on what Kirk Cousins does or doesn't do. But I don't think that there's any rush. And I know everyone's not on the same page, and that's okay. It's Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920 on this Aloha Friday. Let's go ahead and go out to the phone lines. I threw the question out there to you. Overall thoughts, what you saw last night, what did you like, and what concerns you the most? Let's go ahead and start out with the Money Man. Money Mitch in New Jersey, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Q. Ari.
Aloha, brother. How you doing?
Good. Glad you're back on the West Coast, or at least Las Vegas. Texas, that's a what? Is it true that it takes 24 hours to drive from one end to the other end? Is that true?
Yes.
And is there any part of Texas that's in the mountain time zone? No, I find that some states seem to have, they can pick what time zone they want to be in.
I think El Paso.
Either central or west. Oh, all right. That's all right. It's just, that went over my head. I'm sorry. That went over my head. I should have been working, still feeding the dogs. That was the best part of the day, and still listening and all that stuff. They probably made a new rule with the barbershop talkers. What my boys used to say, less talking, more working. And,
right.
My name came up quite a bit.
Someone else is saying that right now, too, Money Mitch. Trust me. Someone else is saying that, too. They're saying, Money Mitch, less talking. Hurry up. Let's get to it. What you got?
We had, 3 sacks, so I'm happy with the defensive line. the tailbacks did quite well. Next week and rest all our babies. I don't know what's going with Mike and Maya. I'm worried about the wide receivers. And I still want Mendoza to start by week 5.
Okay.
Have a nice weekend, Q.
Okay? You do too.
Nothing like having a gun to your head. Nothing like having a gun to the head.
Appreciate you, brother. It's always great to hear from you. Let's hustle up. We got Mike Golic Sr. coming up in a few minutes. Let's go ahead and go out to Oregon. Talk to our guy, Charles. Charles in charge. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? And Charles is not there. All right, let's go out to San Carlos. Talk to Scott. Scott, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, aloha, Q.
Aloha, brother. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there. Well, I always call and give Malik his flowers, so I gotta own up and I was disappointed to see him drop that ball last night. Although there's only 2 things I got to say about that. One, that is not that easy to catch. It's not. I mean, some of the writers make it sound like he was standing right there and it hit him in the numbers. He's running as hard as he can to his right, has to turn back and look over that same shoulder. He should have caught it. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean that. Right. But some of the stuff I've heard, I was like, come on, dude, I'd like to see you make that catch. And I know they're not professional receivers, but still. And then the other one, some of the stat lines said he had 2 drops. The other one got punched out. And I think that's just, you tip your hat to the defense. I don't think there's much you could have done about the second one. But anyway, had to call and own it. Got too excited. Like you said, can't score if you haven't got the ball. So that was too bad. I was a little disappointed in that. But the thing I would say that I saw last night that was good is either AOC really helped his trade value, or we got a solid backup. I hope we don't need him, but he really looked comfortable. He looked the way I expected him to look against Arizona. And I know he had a lot of threes out there, but he had a lot of threes playing with him. So I think that's you got to give him credit for that. And then the thing that is bad, not even Benson's drop. I hope we got Daniel Carlson's number somewhere.
Yes.
Because
yep.
I'm telling you what, man. I mean, I'm 62. I'm pretty sure I could still hit an extra point. I mean, it might take me a few tries, but that was just ugly. That was just ugly.
Yep.
And I don't know what they look at every day in practice and makes them think we're good. But everybody keeps calling about the wide receiver room. I'm like, hey man, we can't make an extra point. Like I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, Cole is awesome. And so I don't think it's the hold I think it's clearly on the kickers. Right. But that was the thing last night that freaked me out. And hey, if I know you're up against it, you got time for just like a 60-second story just because you mentioned it?
Ari said no. Ari said no.
See you next time.
All right, brother.
I produced a NFL football video game, and they included the Flash. And there's a good story about that, but I'll tell you that another time. Anyway, have a great Friday, Q.
I appreciate you, Scott. Appreciate you. Understand that, Scott in San Carlos. Yeah, we got to wrap up hour number 1. Mike Golic Sr. joins us as we kick off hour number 2. We'll do it next here on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Connor Hayward is the split-out wide receiver to the left side. 2 tight ends to the right. Laube, the lone tailback. O'Connell turns, hands it off to Laube. Bounces it to the outside at the 5. Angling to the goal line. Touchdown, Raiders! Dylan Laube started up the middle. Angled out to the right. Does his shimmy in the end zone. And the Raiders cap it off. A fumble recovery for the defense. And Laube for 6.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
And here we go, kicking off hour number 2 of the show. We come into the sound of Jason Horowitz on the call. Dylan Laube with the touchdown. That was in preseason game number 2. The Raiders and Texans. We saw that last night from Houston. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920. We bring in our good friend Mike Golic Sr. from the Golics on ESPN Radio. And Mike, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you. Before we get into anything NFL related, how cool is it for you to be back on the network with your son Mike doing the Golics on ESPN Radio?
It's pretty wild. It's a place I never thought I would be back after leaving in 2020. But when the opportunity presented itself, while we had a couple of other offers out there, this was always at the top of the list. I mean, to work with my son has been incredible over the last few years. Nothing's been better. And now to be able to most likely finish up my career where it started is very, very cool.
Yeah, it's been awesome to hear you guys back and even see you when I get a chance to check you out on TV as well. So great job by you two in your return to ESPN Radio. Earlier in the show, we were listening to some of your sound when you were saying about Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza. No chance that Mendoza starts the season because Cousins is there. How important is it or beneficial is it that the Raiders do have that veteran quarterback in place in Kirk Cousins?
Oh, I think it's huge. I think something that kind of gets lost is the coaches are responsible for 53 people in that locker room. And listen, I don't care how good a rookie, and we've seen rookies play well in their rookie year, Jaden Daniels, C.J. Stroud and such, and going back. It certainly happened. But for the most part, it's a struggle. It's a learning curve. And I think there's a responsibility to the others in the locker room to say, hey, we're going to make an effort to be competitive, and that's why you bring in Kirk Cousins. That's why you sign a Tyler Linderbaum. While that's not just for this year, that's obviously to help Mendoza as well. While you're trying to help the defense, even though it's a young secondary, you bring in a Kirk Cousins for Fernando to learn from. And then when it depends. Listen, hopefully for Raiders and Raiders fans, it is a competitive year, but if it gets away from them a little bit and Mendoza isn't, too wide-eyed, which it doesn't seem like he is at all. It seems like he's handling the moment incredibly well, then you put him in. But I don't know why you would get a Kirk Cousins and not let him start out the season.
Mike Golic Sr. is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920 Unnecessary Roughness. I know that last night's game was the ESPN broadcast. What did you see from Fernando in his first start last night?
Well, I mean, listen, there's a learning curve for rookie quarterbacks regardless, right? Mm-hmm. But now he's played under center, more times in the first two preseason games than he has his entire career in college. Yep. So that's a learning curve. Obviously, what's positive about under center is play action. You can hide the ball more. You can hide the ball in your stomach, the running back's stomach. It can freeze the D-line and linebackers. It can freeze a safety who may be thinking about playing the run. And then you play action. You get a step for the receivers and or the tight end and or the backs. The downside is you're turning your back to the defense, and once you play fake and turn, you have basically a split second or so to read the defense, whereas in shotgun, you always have your eyes on the defense. So there's pros and cons. I think more pros than cons. It seems like the in thing now in the NFL to go under center a little more. So there's going to be a learning curve. Listen, his throw to Jalen Naylor was an absolute dime. He threw him open, which is exactly what you want your quarterback to do. And the interception was a young rookie mistake. Right, he had first, second, third. He could have gone to one of those three options, but he hesitated, drifted left, and then tried to throw a cross back to a receiver in the middle of the field and threw behind him. That's going to happen. He's going to learn from that. So I think he's been doing a great job.
I want to scatter shoot all things NFL with you, but I wanted to ask you one more question about the Raiders. What have you just thought about this whole process that they've gone through since the offseason started in the hiring of the head coach, Clint Kubiak, going through the draft process, obviously free agency, to where they're at right now, just kind of the way that they look like they're trying to put this thing together?
Well, you knew they were going to go for a quarterback, right? They did not have their quarterback of the future on the roster. So I think it was smart to hire an offensive-minded coach like Kubiak to kind of take over that and let someone come in and run the defense. So I think that was a good move. And I think getting Tyler Linderbaum was an excellent move. We always talk about weapons for a young quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, obviously a great one in Brock Bowers. But how about a center? How about someone who can handle all the calls? How about a Pro Bowl center to anchor that line? I think that was a great move by the Raiders. And listen, they're going to have to build. Like I said, it's a young secondary. They've struggled a bit in the two preseason games. So there's going to be a learning curve here. That can be mitigated by having more than Max Crosby be able to get pressure on the quarterback. But they're in a position like a couple of other teams that struggle, is you have multiple holes to fill, and you have to have multiple positions that have to get better and come along.
Mike Golic Sr. with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. We saw the other day the Cowboys and Saints get into it in the joint practice. We saw the Dolphins get into a joint practice fight and skirmish, whatever you want to call it. How do teams kind of control that or try to control that so they actually get work in and they don't just waste their time with all these fights?
Well, the league's trying to control it by fining the teams, fining the Cowboys and Saints $500,000. Listen, it's a tough one to ask of me. I'm a guy who played for Buddy Ryan, who encouraged fighting in training camp. If he didn't think if he wanted to check a guy's toughness, he put him in a drill where he knew there'd be fighting to see if he would fight or not. Listen, I wasn't the greatest athlete in the world, but man, so I was a bit of a line stepper. I was always looking for a good fight to try and make up for my lack of athletic ability. You see the highlights of the fights, but for the most part, you're running a decent practice, right? The tough part is when the whole team gets involved. One way Buddy Ryan tried to mitigate that when we would have all-out brawls is he said, the two guys who start the fight, they're the only ones that can fight. Anybody who jumps in has to basically run until you puke. So, if you were one of the two guys, and you learn quickly that if it's just two guys fighting, how quickly you get worn out, and then you have to go back and continue the drill. Now, that was with our own team. That's tough to do when you have two different teams practicing with each other. I like teams practicing with each other more than the preseason games. I think you get way more accomplished. And it's going to get away from you some. You're going to get pushing and shoving. You're going to get fighting. You just have to try and control it a little more. And if it's by taking a player or a team's money, so be it.
Yeah, look, the Raiders and the Texans just had a joint practice, and it went off really well. It was a little pushing here and there, but that was it. Yeah. So they did exactly what you said. They got a lot of really good work in. Also, the Eagles and the Patriots, they had joint practice. What do you think about the Eagles, this new look? No A.J. Brown, he's in New England, and they have a new offensive coordinator again. How do you think this works this year for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles?
Well, you have a first-time play-calling offensive coordinator. Name me a quarterback in the last however many years, even going back to college, that has had as many offensive coordinators as Jalen Hurts has had. Yeah. I don't think that's brought up enough. When you're learning a new system, it's like a new language, and he's had to do it more than a few times. Listen, does he have his issues where he doesn't really throw it down the middle of the field? Some, yes. Do they need to be a balanced team? Yes. A couple of years ago, you have a 2,000-yard rusher. How much does that help your passing game? Last year, they were 18th in the league in rushing. That can hurt your passing game. Jalen Hurts is never going to be a 4,500 yards a year, 35 touchdowns a year guy, right? This has to be a complementary offense, running and passing. That's what it has to be.
When you see the AFC West, and the Broncos obviously won it last year, the Chiefs are bringing back Mahomes after the injury, and then the Chargers have a new-look offense led by Mike McDaniel. How do you see this division, those three teams in particular that didn't all make the playoffs, but they're all playoff caliber teams?
I think we're kind of getting past the Kansas City Chiefs are automatically in, right? Obviously not last year when Mahomes gets hurt, but even when he's healthy, I don't think at this point they carry the, oh my God, it's the Chiefs that they did.
Right.
Because Denver has really upped their game, especially we talk about Bo Nix and his health. The defense has been fantastic. The defense for the Chargers was a top 10 defense in the major categories as well. Now, Tyler Biadasz, the center, getting hurt doesn't help after they lost their two offensive tackles last year. That's just been brutal because Justin Herbert has got a gun for an arm. But I think that those three teams are really going to compete hot and heavy. I think the Raiders are still down a little bit. Now, we'll see. You never know what can happen. There's always a couple of surprise teams that you don't expect to be there. But I think those three teams, I think it's certainly, not reinventing the wheel to say those three teams there's going to be some good competition there.
We'll close out with this, and it's great to have you on the show again. Mike Golic Sr. here, Raider Nation Radio 920. Is there a team or two that you're most intrigued by, that you really are paying attention to see what they do in particular this upcoming season?
I think two teams. I think Cincinnati and Dallas, just for the fact that they both have the offenses, without question, high-powered offenses and defenses that have struggled, but they have both put major resources into their defenses. Now, that being said, I never would have traded Micah Parsons. But they did trade him. They got assets back for him, and they've brought in more assets. They are really trying to improve that defense. Cincinnati, the same thing, especially on that defensive line. Both these defenses, they don't need to be top 5 defenses, and I don't think they will, but they don't need to be with how powerful the offenses are. But they have to be respectable defenses, and I'm on paper, both defenses have improved. But we know the game's not played on paper. We have to see practical application on the field. But those two teams' defenses, I'm really interested to see how they come together because they have the offenses to go far.
You can check out the Golics, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time. That's 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Mike Golic Sr., Mike Golic Jr. do a fantastic job there for ESPN Radio. Mike, it's always great to catch up with you. Thanks so much for your time. Enjoy the weekend, and you and your son keep up doing the great work.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Take care.
Appreciate you. Great stuff right there. Mike Golic Sr., a hell of an addition back to ESPN Radio's lineup, man. I was super excited when the Golics returned, and even Gojo, as we like to call him, Mike Golic Jr. is a fantastic talent as well. So definitely appreciate them. Saw a lot of them this week while we were in Houston, able to kind of check out the TV broadcast of the Golics. So definitely. Was happy to have him on the show today. Really good job, Ari. Appreciate you getting him on this afternoon. Want to hear from you at 702-365-9200. Threw the question out there, overall thoughts of what you saw last night. What did you like and what were your concerns, or what are your concerns that you have at this stage of the game? Let's go back out to H-Town, as a matter of fact. Talk to our guy, Nash. Nash, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I was in the house last night. It's, a good comeback there at the end, but a couple things. I'll tell you, the thing that impressed me actually the most was the Raiders looked like they were there on a business trip. I mean, all the guys were dressed, even the ones that weren't playing. And it just seemed like they were really cheering for one another. And I remember it was like the third quarter, and Max Crosby is on the field, hyping up their defense, exhorting them. And to me, there's a total contrast between what they were doing and what the Texans was. Not to disparage Texans anyway, but to me, I thought that was just incredible. And I probably would disagree with Mr. Golic just a little bit. I think when Washington went out for that pass, that interception, I think that's a route where you're just supposed to sit there. And he started to drift. So, Kubiak says the interception is always on the quarterback. But I don't think Washington helped him out by kind of drifting because Mendoza, he threw it to the spot that he was at, and the linebacker who was behind him was easy for him to pick off. So, it's to me, that was the thing with miscommunication, and that's just takes time on task. And it's just like there was when Mendoza got sacked, the guard Mafia, it was like he didn't block anybody, and he thought Jordan, he thought the center was going to block him, and the center was helping on the right side. And again, that's just time on task that they need to do that. And so I'm hopeful that, again, I could see why, again, if you play 40, 50 plays on a Tuesday, that you're probably a little bit sore on a Thursday, and you really don't feel like playing if you're an offensive lineman, starting defense lineman. So I'm hoping that we'll see some of the starters at least get a series or two in with the last exhibition game. And one last thing is, to me, I think why we want to be thoughtful with Mendoza is I don't want him to turn into Bryce Young. And I think that was an interesting thing when you think about it when, the Raiders were really high and who comes in, Andy Dalton beats us. But Andy Dalton, started after Young started the season and started the rookie season, all of a sudden Dalton comes in and plays about 5 games. And it was really helpful for Bryce Young. It probably saved his career to sit there and really kind of watch how a pro does it, how he overcomes bad things, good things. And I think that's the whole reason for Kirk Cousins is for him to get 6-8 games and then put Mendoza in. And he'll learn, by the way, that he just handles everything because, again, you're going to have a lot of different mistakes and stuff like that. So to me, I think if they can that's why I think, again, I think middle of the year, I think that's when you want to see him. But again, I'm not disappointed by anything. Again, I think my inner Dennis Green. They are who we thought they were, and at the end of the day, I mean, I think we'll be a sixth. If things fall away, an 8-win thing. But I think we've got a lot of building blocks, and I'm really excited. Probably about. I thought Massis played really well, so I think the young secondary in a year is going to be really good, and we're going to have some problems because all these guys, hopefully, a lot of them can play. So, hey, man, I appreciate it. Sorry I missed you in Houston, man, but it was good to go out there and watch them. So, just win, baby.
There you go. Hey, it's good to hear from you, Nash and H-Town right there. A lot of really good points. Do appreciate that. I wanted to pass this along from Ruthless Raider from Georgia on the text line, 702-365-9200. He said, hey, Q, I'm an FSU fan, and last night we got the full Malik Benson Florida State experience. He makes a spectacular catch, and you get behind him. Then the rest of the game, he has a drop after drop after bad drop. I guess he got better at Oregon, but he was a big letdown at FSU. I hope he can put that last night behind him and continue improving. That's Ruthless Raider from Georgia. And I think that just was the reality of, everyone talking about him and talking about how he's been shining in camp and giving him his flowers. And, well, the understanding is he's still a young player. He's still a 6th-round pick. He's still a guy that's trying to find his way in the NFL. And, he just got a little ahead of himself. And there's something that has been said a couple times from head coach Clint Kubiak. Like, the one thing I like about Kubiak's pressers, and there's never going to be like some big personality. There's never going to be rah and all this other good stuff or all these funny catch lines or whatever. He's just going to tell you. He's going to tell you the answer that you need to know, especially if you actually listen, then you'll hear what he has to say. He said it multiple times when he's been asked about Malik Benson. He just needs to continue to stay hungry and humble. He's used those words multiple times. He didn't use them just because he's trying to have some cool catchphrase. He didn't use them because he's trying to spit bars on a track. He obviously knows a lot more than we do. So when he says, like what he's doing, he's building the chemistry, he just needs to stay hungry and humble. That tells me all I need to know. And I think that him putting the ball on the deck like he did last night, I think that is humbling. That's a humbling moment because he had a chance to make a really big play. And the second one, and I believe it was Scott who said it, Scott in San Carlos, he said that the other one, the DB just knocked out of his hands. It was funny. We actually are having that debate in the press, or in the press box. It was Adam Hill, Sam Gordon, Vinny, myself, and Brandy Flores. We were all kind of boom, 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 like right next to each other. And we were talking about it, and it was like, oh, man, he put the ball on the ground. And then Sam was like, yeah, well, DBs get paid too. They did make a good play. And he did. I'll give the DB for the Texans a lot of credit for sticking with the play and knocking the ball out. But at some point when you're trying to, establish who you are and trying to show that, hey, man, this team could depend on me, this quarterback could depend on me, you bring those in. You hold them in. Again, the DB made a really good play to his credit, but you'd like to see the wide receiver make a better play. And that was kind of my point there. Again, I'm not going to take him to task for that one, but the first one for sure, because the first one was one that I believe he could have took to the house, but you got to secure the ball and then run. 702-365-9200. Let's go back out to the phone lines and talk to Hardcore Raider. Welcome to the show, my man. How you doing on this Aloha Friday?
Hey, man, aloha. Hey, some guys are more worried about the touchdown dance than just getting the touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm not saying necessarily that's even Malik Benson, but that's just today's age
that's
of
reality.
NFL, man. They're
that's reality.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, I'm trying to teach my son differently, like that. Stay hungry, stay humble. So, but, just playing football and all that. But, all right, a couple things. First of all, I wanted to see Jack Besh, did you see him on the field? Because the coach said that he was out there, but I didn't see him. Did you see him?
I didn't see him either. It was funny because I was listening, and when he said that post game, I was like, man, I literally just missed him. But he did say that he was out there, and the ball just didn't find him. So again, I have to go back and look. I didn't see the replay of the game, but I just didn't see him. He must not have been out there long if he was out there.
Right on. All right, so I have a rant, dude, and this isn't towards you, okay? But and it's probably the last time I talk about Aiden O'Connell. All right, but. There's a lot of people in Raider Nation, dude. Like, you would think this guy played for, like, the San Francisco 49ers or played for the Chiefs or played for the Broncos. The fact that we have Raider fans that are, like, unhappy if a guy does well, like, blows my mind. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, So I get a little frustrated with that now. And here's my point, dude. Yeah, Fernando Mendoza is the future, dude. And I agree with that. I'm not saying Aiden O'Connell should be the starter, but you can be happy for a guy that does good. You could be happy for a guy that helped your team win a game, even if it was an ugly win. Maybe one of the ugliest wins I can remember in a long time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so, when I say Aiden O'Connell, because I wanted, Mendoza trying to do what O'Connell did, and I'm not taking a shot at Mendoza. I don't think this makes or breaks him one way or the other. And same with O'Connell, but the reality is O'Connell is going to be either a backup for the Raiders in the future if, the opportunity provides from us and he wants to take it, or he's going to go to bigger, brighter things, And if he goes and moves on to another team, I want the best for the guy, dude. Why are we wishing stuff bad for a guy that's, done everything for our team and done nothing but be professional and try his hardest? Is he the next greatest quarterback? No, he's not. But those Raider Nation that just want to hate on a dude, man, I was going to say, you guys got to check yourself, dude, of what it means to be a team player, a teammate, and somebody that's bled for this team and been through a lot. And Mike Golic said, I don't know another quarterback that's been through more offensive coordinators. Well, guess what? Aiden O'Connell's been through 6 in 4 years. I believe he's on offensive coordinator number 7. So I'm going to leave it at that, but I'm happy that he won the game. And Aiden O'Connell, keep up the good work, brother.
Boom. There it is right there. Very expired call right there from Hardcore Raider. And, yeah, I've been giving Aiden O'Connell a ton of flowers. I really have because he has gone through a lot, and he has gone through a lot of offensive coordinators. Now, with what Mike Golic is saying, look, Jalen Hurts has been the starting quarterback since he has taken over for Carson Wentz, right? So he's been there for a long time. He's gone to multiple Super Bowls. He's won one. He's been a Super Bowl MVP. So he's done a whole lot, and every year, if they go to, like Shane Steichen, they went to the Super Bowl with Shane Steichen, he gets a head coaching job. They bring in someone else, he doesn't work. Then they go and they get another offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. They go to the Super Bowl and win it, and then he gets a job, right? So that's the difference between what Jalen Hurts has gone through and Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell has gone through it because the Raiders haven't had success, and so the whole staff has had to change, and he hasn't necessarily been the starting quarterback each and every year where Jalen Hurts has. But to your point, he's done everything he's been asked to. That's for damn sure, and that's something that I give him a lot of credit for. And the other thing I think about when it comes to Aiden O'Connell is he very well could end up being the backup quarterback long-term to Fernando Mendoza. That might be a role that he's okay with because he's familiar with the team. He's comfortable with the team. Clint Kubiak has done nothing but sing his praises since he's been a member of the Raiders. So I think that there's a world where Aiden O'Connell is with the team. Now, he's in the last year of his deal, so they have to figure out something one way or the other. But I don't see Kirk Cousins being around the team very long outside of this year, right? So someone's got to go ahead and man that spot that is the backup QB. Really good call, man. Do appreciate it. Keep that feedback coming at 702-365-9200. Overall thoughts on what you saw last night. What did you like? What concerns you the most? We'll hear from you as we, not close out hour number 2, but we'll hear from you next here on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Then gets a shotgun snap. He caught it with one hand. Now pressure off the edge. And he's drilled from behind, and the ball's on the turf again. It's still loose at the 27-yard line. And the Texans do pounce on top of it. But Jafari Harvey, coming from the left tackle side, came in to drop him for a 10-yard loss.
Right now, we're doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
As we do football right, we'll hear from our teammate here on the Las Vegas Sports Network, Brandy Flores, who had a really good recap of the game last night and had some locker room interaction as well with that. So we'll do that in just a few minutes. We did throw the question out there to you. Overall thoughts on what you saw last night. What did you like and what concerns you the most at 702-365-9200. Got a bunch of calls lined up, but I wanted to get this text real quick. And it's a lengthy text, so I guess it's not going to be real quick, but it's from Sean, and it's a really good breakdown. Q, it was a good win, but just my opinion, I think Clint kind of set Mendoza up for failure putting that line out there. Pressured a ton of penalties, just bad. Meredith is not good. Could have gotten our franchise quarterback injured. Rather him not make this team, but we'll see. Also need to be working overtime on trying to find some defensive line help on that waiver wire soon. Also on Mendoza's pick, to me, what's good about that is it's going to get fixed so easily with just practicing more and getting chemistry. When it comes to an offense where you throw to a spot and not a player, if that player is not there, there could be some problems. Mike Washington is balling, However, that's 2 weeks in a row he has not sat on the route and drifted. He needs to learn to sit on that route. Otherwise, Mendoza should look to throw it elsewhere. God bless. Go Raiders. Sorry for the long text. LOL. Thought that was a really good summary, right? Good and bad all there, and you know, what could be corrected. And all of this is correctable. And that's why it's okay to point it out at this stage of the game. It's only August 21st. They have another preseason game coming up next Thursday against the 49ers at Allegiant Stadium. And then, of course, they'll have some time off and get ready for the season opener on the 13th, September 13th, versus the Miami Dolphins, also at Allegiant Stadium. But we do want to hear from you at 702-365-9200. Let's hear from the Mac. The Mac from way back. Greater Mac, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Q. I like everything that was going on. You know what? This is the first time in a long time that I see that we're organized on the sideline. And what I liked the most was that the O-line on that 96-yard drive, Aiden O'Connell was not touched. He was pressured a little bit, but I love that. Last year, you didn't see that. You see that the coaching staff, and I can't believe QBI has 33 coaches. That's a lot of coaches on the sideline. And overall, but I loved everything. What I didn't like was two things, and I know you wanted one, but the first thing was the DBs got to play closer to the ball. It's just too many wide open guys on outs and stuff like that, and the kicker. I mean, the young kid, I understand he's from Hawaii, and it's a lot of pressure kicking, but those extra points, you can't have. Is there any way you think they'll bring Carlson in? I know they stuck on what's his name, but man, the kicking game, we had a solid kicking game with Carlson, and people can go back and look. He made a lot of pressure kicks. So that's all I got to say. But otherwise, I was pleased last night, not because they won or anything like that. What I like, I saw everybody jumping up on the sidelines after the thing. You didn't see that last year or a couple years ago. You see everybody was together, and that's what I wanted to see. And the roster is looking better. That's the number one thing that we have to continue is get the roster better. And, with the cutdowns coming up, you can get a couple of free agents and put some guys on the practice squad. But other from that, Q, man, they did good. You guys did a fantastic job with the pre-games. I just wanted to tell you that, man, Q. And also, I heard a lot of ESPN and different outlets been saying that Q Myers has said that start Mendoza, and I agree with you, Q. But at the end of the day, they're not going to listen to us. They're going to do what they want to do. But you made a great point about starting him. Then why not? Kirk Cousins is not the future. Why not start him against a game that's winnable against the Dolphins? But we'll see later on, and we'll go from there, man. I appreciate you and Ari. Have a good weekend, man. And I like what I saw, except for the secondary and the kicker, and that was it. Everything else was fine. Thank you. And Mendoza is still my guy. Thank you, you and Ari. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Mac, for the call. Appreciate you. I can't take credit for that. I didn't say start Mendoza. I don't know where they got that from. I said that I think that the competition is going to be tough, especially if he goes out there and balls against the Texans. I think that would be a lot more pressure to start him. I didn't go there. That I can't take credit for that. I would like to take credit for something that you agree with, because it's far too many times that someone doesn't agree with me, and I have to eat that one, right, and have to explain myself. I would have loved to be able to take that credit, but I didn't say that. I actually understand why Kirk Cousins is set to be the starter, and I'm okay with them being patient. I get it, but I understand and understand why they're going in the direction they're going. But really good call, man. Definitely appreciate hearing from you. Let's go out to Oregon, talk to our guy Charles. Charles, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, what up, Q? Happy Aloha Friday to you.
Yes, sir. You too.
I've said before, and I'll say it again. The Raiders don't want to be good. They certainly don't want to be mediocre or poor. They want to be great eventually. The only way you're going to get great is first having great self-awareness. So what I take out of what was great out of that game is you've got to continue to learn more. And I think Kubiak didn't just learn about his team. I think he learned about his shortcomings and maybe some things he might have done a little bit differently during that game too. Like whether it's starting the ones on the offensive line so that Fernando has that opportunity. Maybe he learned from that. So in order for them to get great, you got to identify that. The things that I saw that were really great were this, though. I saw glimpses of you can see the coaching in the second string, third string. You can see the coaching. You can see his scheming with utilizing a fullback in Connor Hayward. Some of those plays were outstanding, and the play calling, I thought that was great. I love seeing, even though there were penalties, I love seeing the defensive backs. Someone took the leash off them, or they took it off themselves because they were playing much more aggressively, which they need to do. You got to play. You're going to play DB out on an island. You better play with some confidence. So I could see the coaching. We've got some ballers like Mike Washington. Oh, my gosh. You pair him up with Genty, look out. And Dylan Lobby played great. Most importantly, what I saw, Fernando and Mike Washington agreed, hey, maybe Mike Washington should have sat down on that pick six and made the play. But, Fernando said I shouldn't have thrown the ball. Okay, so what happens after that? He goes 6 for 6 on the next drive. Do they score? No. But he continues to learn. So from this, I take they're going to look at it and be reflective and see where the holes are. Because if everything went great yesterday, everybody's all happy, Fernando throws 2 touchdowns and everything's super smooth, you might have the illusion like Pete Carroll did that we're going to win 10 games. And I disagree with one of the previous callers. I don't think the roster's better, but it's not good enough. I said before, defensive tackle rotation, they need more help. They're gonna need more. And seeing that last night, Malik Benson, he's been doing great. He dropped passes last night. He's got to learn from that. Secure the ball first, right? Yeah. So bottom line is, the way that you get great is you reflect upon what it is that you need to do to improve. And you can't do that if you think your S don't stink, right? So my thinking is they're going to learn from this. God bless. Appreciate you guys taking my call, and have a great weekend, man.
Will do. You do the same. Charles in Oregon on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippy's. Definitely do appreciate that. Really good stuff. And, yeah, the roster is not where it needs to be yet. It's had a really good offseason, though. It has, and they've added a lot of really good talent, but they need to continue to stack it so they can have depth. That's going to be the job of the front office. That's going to be the job of the scouts to go ahead and sit out there and identify it and bring it into the organization. Sam I Am on the text line said, hey, Q, I'm pleased with the run game. I'm going to call Genty and Wash Bora Bora. A play so nice you have to say it twice. LOL. What concerns me is we're going to be a team with growing pains. I love the fight, though. You can take the dog out the fight, but you can't take the fight out of the dog. I like that. That was a great Bora Bora line. That was fantastic. I am good with that. We might have to put that one up on the glass that we're running out of space on in the studio there. But I like that. Genty and Washington. Bora Bora, play so nice you have to say it twice. Nothing wrong with that. Sam, I Am, really good text. Do appreciate you. Let's go from Oregon to Denver. No, Glenn hung up. All right, let's go to from Oregon to Raider Mike. Raider Mike, welcome to the show. What you got?
Who's originally from Oregon?
There you go. That's what I knew what I was talking about.
You wanted that line to deliver perfectly, but you'll get it next time.
Exactly.
I followed Charles a couple of times. He's a Blazer fan like me. And if that new owner from here, Carolina, moves my team, I don't know. I'm going to lose my mind. So if he goes to Vegas, so I can live with that. Because then I got all my teams in one city finally.
Right.
After just all over the place for decades. So anyway, Benson, wow. That rookie 6th-round pick, that's what it looked like to me. I mean, he's going to be a good receiver, Q. I have no problem saying that at all. He's going to wind up being a steal. I think the Steelers got, what's his face, that maniac that we had, Antonio Brown, in the 6th round. So they even play similar. So anyway, you can find guys in the 6th round, and I think our boy Spytek's proven that. Fernando, That was an ugly pick 6, but he's a rookie. I mean, the NFL is way faster than college, and that throw right there, I don't think he'll do it again. He's going to learn from that mistake. He's, because he had some killer throws this game. So he's growing. I'm glad Cousins is going to start because I can't see Fernando recovering and getting the starting job after that pick 6. It was just ugly. But he'll learn from it.
He will.
The best thing, though, is Bora Bora. I don't know if I can call him that. No, I mean, our boy Jeremy Green said this kid should have been a first-round pick. And there's a couple other pundits out there that said the same thing. I mean, those Genty and Washington, you keep them fresh and just keep going back and forth, like a 65-35 split on the carries. I think that's our plan anyway. There's a lot of 12 personnel,
right,
13 personnel, where we just pound your head into the ground with those 2 backs. And our offensive line, by the time we figure out the starting 5, are going to be badass. I think they're just playing around, seeing what's going on. Do you have an injury update on JPJ?
No, I do not. I do not. No, we're all waiting. We're in waiting mode.
See, that's worrying me. That is really worrying me a lot. But anyway, and then lastly, I was at the draft. When we picked Stooks over Caden or Boston, did you lose your mind like I did right in front of 1,000 people?
I didn't lose my mind, but we all know that I was very much in the team of Caden McDonald during the draft process. But I do like Trayden Stooks a lot.
We both were.
So there you go.
We both were, bro. But I had a few cocktails, so I lost my mind. Said some things I shouldn't have said there at whatever that Parks. I can't remember the Parks name where the draft was. But anyway, that's all I got, Q. Good job as usual. Love the show. Peace. Raiders, I'm out, bro. Peace.
There he goes, Raider Mike. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you. Yeah, it was wild to see Caden McDonald just get through the line last night and sack Fernando Mendoza and know that as I'm kind of tweeting the highlights of the game, I had to tweet, there goes Caden McDonald with the sack, when that's not what he was really even known for. He's really just known for being a run stuffer and being a guy that makes a lot of tackles, and that's why I was really adamant about thinking that the Raiders should go and draft him when they had the chance. They didn't. They went with Trayden Stooks, which is fine. I think Trayden Stooks is going to be a really good player as well, but it's always going to be that one. Anytime he makes plays, you're going to always remember, that's the guy that we were talking about throughout that draft process.
That was my thought before Mendoza even hit the ground. I was like, he was going to go crazy. But hey,
so it happens. It happens. Yeah, but like I said, Trayden Stooks, I don't want to make that sound like a slight to him because he's got a lot of talent as well, and you continue to see him get better and better. I saw growth from Trayden Stooks week 1 versus the Cardinals to what we saw last night versus the Houston Texans. Well, let's go ahead and get the roundup of what we did see, what we did hear in the Raiders' 22-20 victory over the Houston Texans, courtesy of our Brandy Flores.
Raiders preseason game number 2 in the books from H-Town as they travel to take on the Houston Texans this evening. And there was some good, there was some bad, but let's start with the good. They came away with the win, 22-20. It ended with Aiden O'Connell leading the way about a minute and a half drive downfield to score a touchdown. And then, of course, the interception that really sealed the deal for the Raiders. And although it's only preseason, wins and losses don't matter in this sense. It did mean something to the head coach, Clint Kubiak, his first win as an NFL head coach.
It means a lot to our team. We needed to have that game, especially after that first half. We've seen flashes of that from our guys in practice, and for them to go do it, on a Thursday night game, that's very rewarding to see those young men, play their hearts out in the second half.
And we continue to see great things from Mike Washington Jr. as he broke for another big run today and continues to extend drives with his force and his speed. He talked about after the game that although he is vying for that number 2 running back spot, he's not focused on the outside noise.
Internally in my mind, I'm just trying to do everything that I could do, to be on the field and to help the team win.
and really just using each and every opportunity to, like I said, help the team win.
And then obviously Fernando Mendoza getting the start today at quarterback, and he did not have a great day against a really tough Texans defense. Although the Texans defense did sit some starters, he still went up against a good team that has great depth on that side of the ball. He was 8 for 15 in the air, 86 yards. He took a sack, which was not his fault. Caden McDonald really snuck in there untouched and just tackled him to the floor. There was nothing he could do on that one. However, he did, of course, throw that pick six, which was a pass that was underthrown to Mike Washington Jr., and then the linebacker ran it back 80 yards to the house for the touchdown. And speaking with Fernando afterwards, he was disappointed. Obviously, he wants to learn from his mistakes, but overall, he was happy for the team win. It's just back to the drawing board for him as he continues to try to get better, not forget this game, but definitely move past it and on to the next.
I came away that there's a lot of more learning to do, and that although that maybe he had a lot of success at another level, that this level's a whole step further, and that the margins are so small, and that one tiny mistake can lead to catastrophe. So I want to make sure that I serve my teammates and get better from these experiences.
All in all, a lot to clean up, a long ways to go, but this team is taking everything day by day. They're going to look at the tape tonight, and then Coach Kubiak will speak with us on Friday morning, and we'll have more for you then. Until then, that is it from H-Town. We'll see you back in Vegas.
That was Brandy Flores. That brought to you by Paul Padala. Fantastic job by her being able to hold it down there in H-Town, and she took that, did that little recap from the field following the game last night, and that really does summarize it really well. We did get the chance to talk to Clint Kubiak this morning around 10 a.m. Pacific time when he met with us by way of Zoom. And, I saw the text from Sean saying, "Are you kidding me, Q? We could have got that sack on Mendoza. Jordan Meredith just part of the Red Sea, basically." Yeah, no, I know, and I said that earlier in the show. That's why I said, Caden McDonald was never known as the guy that can just get after the quarterback consistently. But, if you don't block him, then yeah, of course. But it was just the fact that we talked about him so much, or at least I talked about him so much in the draft process, to see that he was the one that got home. It was kind of like, oh, of course he got home, right? Why wouldn't he, after all the conversations that we had here on the show? So that was the point right there. And, again, I didn't like the fact that the starting offensive line wasn't out there for a couple drives for Fernando Mendoza. I didn't think that did him any favors. But, again, I'm not the coach. Instead, Clint Kubiak is. But there you go. Really good feedback. Text line, phone lines. We got Amber Theoharis coming up at the top of the hour. But we had to do football right.
Doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke. Doing car care right.
Holding guys accountable, working, drilling things that we didn't do as well. For instance, a back block on Roman Hemby, educating guys better on the rules. We got DCAM, made a costly error running out of bounds. I know that's things that we coach them on every day, but we do have a lot of young guys that you can't take anything for granted. So we put it on ourselves as coaches, number one, with how we educate them, what we're practicing, what we're drilling. It's on us as coaches to get it fixed.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness, brought to you by Zippies.
Even the sounds of Aloha Friday makes penalties sound good, huh? Clint Kubiak talking about fixing penalties. That was from his Zoom call that he had with us earlier today, and they do need to clean that up. 9 penalties, 80-plus yards. You can't do that. You cannot give up those kind of yards. Those are those hidden yardage where, that's just about a touchdown. That's just about 100 yards. Raiders aren't good enough to do that. Most teams aren't. But this team has to do everything they can. They've got to dot the I's and they got to cross the T's. It's Unnecessary Roughness here. Raider Nation Radio 920. Overall thoughts of what you saw last night. What did you like and what concerns you the most? Want to hear from you at 702-365-9200. And it wouldn't be an Aloha Friday without hearing from my Aloha brother, Art in the 808. Art, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, how's it, Q? Everything going good, bro?
Everything is great. It's Aloha Friday. You know how it is. It can't get any better.
Aloha Friday, bro. You got to love that, man.
Yes.
Hey, let me say something. I am not disappointed with anything right now. Everything is new for this team. Coaching, players. We're what? I forget. I saw the stat. We're one of the youngest teams out there, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So everything is good, man. We're exactly where we need to be. Right? 100% trust in Kuberneck. Let's give it to him, man. We're going to go where we need to go. I've got my money down for the 6 wins. If we don't win the six games, so be it. We're headed in the right direction. You know, the one thing that I've learned from being a Raider Nation my whole life is patience. And we're finally headed in the right direction. So I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid you give me every year, Q. Every year you're telling me we're going to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to listen to you this year, man. So, you know, if it takes 2 years, 3 years, we're headed in the right direction. So I'm not disappointed with anything. The only thing I'm disappointed with is Tokyo Toe. You know, coming from UH, I wanted him to be successful.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, we're headed in the right direction. I've got my patience. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the beginning of the season. It's all good, Q. We're headed in the right direction, bro.
I like it.
Patience. Follow the plan, man. Start freaking Cousins. Stop with this talk about starting Fernando. Keep Cousins. That's why we went out and got the guy.
I like it. I like it. Great call. It's great to hear from you, Art, there in the 808, a.k.a. Hawaii. Love me some Hawaii, especially on Aloha Fridays. Appreciate you, Art. Great stuff right there. And, yeah, man, I don't know about that Kool-Aid that you're talking about. I don't know, but I get where you're going with it. You know, patience, patience, patience. That is the overall theme of what Art had to say. We got hour number 3 on the way. What will Amber Theoharis have to say? She joins us next. It's Radio Nation Radio 920.
Down by 10 with 7:45 to go. O'Connell under center. Handoff Agumbawale through the hole at the 15. Bounces outside 10. Agumbawale to the goal line. Touchdown Raiders. Dare Agumbawale with a 20-yard burst through the left side. And with 7:36 to go, the Raiders have taken a 17-point deficit and cut it down to 4.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
One of 3 second-half touchdowns on the ground by the Silver and Black. That one by Dare Ongumawale. Let's say that 3 times fast. Jeez. Yeah, I'm not tired at all. How did I just blend that one together, Ari? Well, man, what was going on there?
On your best day, that is a tough one.
No, I mean, it's really not. I don't, man. That was that. My bad, Dari.
Well, now I'm going to take the time to take a shot at Joe Buck, who said "La Ube" last night. Then
no, connected. in the press box, you know, they have the PA announcer that announces like every play that just happens, and they look. It's not easy being the press box guy.
True.
I've been that guy before, and especially when you're not familiar with the team, they're just coming in town for the first time. They're not normally in town. It is it's hard to get those names down. No, he was going through it, and he was literally going through it last night. There was some, like somebody said, he said Dylan Lobby's name one time, and it was like Dylan Laubi, or, you know, like it went through so many different names. It was funny, but I understand, and trust and believe, I've done PA for softball. You know who the worst parents are? Softball parents. You get their daughter's name wrong, they will come after you. Oh, my gosh. I can't remember what name it was, but clearly I got it wrong. And the lady didn't say anything to me till the 3rd time, because, you know, when they're playing baseball or softball, they come up to bat 3 or 4 times a game. So it was after the 3rd time that she came and yelled and screamed at me, and I felt bad. I was like, why did you just tell me after the 1st time? You know, that would have been okay. She was so mad, but it was funny because the teammates, it was something – I don't remember how I said it, but it made it sound like she was like a goat or something. Like, you know, something like that. It was something goat related. And so all her teammates were doing like a goat sound at her.
Oh, man. That's great.
So, hey, man, look, I don't default anybody, man. I don't get mad at anyone who's messing those names up, because it is hard. But Dare Ogunbowale, that's how you say his name. I just blended it all together. Definitely apologize to him. But, yes, the Raiders had 3 second-half touchdowns all on the ground. The one you just heard, obviously Dylan Laube, and then Aiden O'Connell sealed the deal and ended up winning the game. So it is hour number 3 of Unnecessary Roughness, Radio Nation Radio 920. Now that we've gone through, reading, writing, and arithmetic for dummies here on the show, we'll hear from you at 702-365-9200. We were efforting Amber Theoharis. She's probably a little bit busy in traffic or whatever, but hopefully she gets back to us. If she does, great. If not, that's all right. We'll get her at a later time as well. We got a lot to get to on the show. So let's go ahead and go out to the phone lines. We threw the question out there. Overall thoughts on what you saw last night. What do you like? What concerns you the most? Let's talk to one of our favorites, Just Win Wendy. I'll get her name right on this Aloha Friday. How you doing, Wendy?
You better.
Always.
I mean, I've always gotten your name right, Q.
Exactly. Yeah, buddy.
But I know. Anyway, oh, my God. It was so much fun last night. I mean, I was just, like, falling asleep, and it was halftime, and I'm like, okay, so should I watch the second half? I don't know. It looks pretty bad. And I was like, no, I'll just leave it on and play solitaire on my phone and see what happens. And, oh, my God, it was so amazing. I mean, suddenly everything happened. And so I got to say, the two things that I got to say, number one, every player that played this defense and offense on the second half owes Aiden O'Connell a big, big thank you. And because they got tape. They got stuff on tape, and that was because Aiden was like, no nonsense. He's like, okay, you missed that ball. We're not going to miss any more balls. You catch the farging ball. And I don't know what else he'd said in the huddle, but he looked like he was ready for business, and he wasn't going to go out, lay down. And so all those guys, they got tape. And we know most of them are going to go somewhere else. So they all owe him a big debt. As well as everybody else, because look at the sideline. Look at the players. I mean, they were so happy at the end of the game to win a meaningless preseason game. It was just awesome because it was just like, okay, so we do have fight in us. We do have a team. We do have actually people who play together. And, I mean, even, they were even protecting him. There wasn't, there was a couple of times when people got through to him, the offensive line. But most of the time, they were doing really well at protecting him, too. So I just was like, yes, that's the Aiden I remember, and he fired everybody up. So that was cool. Number two that was good, I liked seeing Fernando fail and come back. I mean, I thought that was a positive. Not fail, but I mean that he stumbled. He had some mistakes, and that's great because then come back on the field right after that interception touchdown, and you have to play again. And I was like, so how's he going to act? Now he has to come back out, and he did really well. So it's cool. Yeah. I know I can't take too long in case Amber comes in, and I love Amber. So if you're waiting, Amber, I'll be real quick. And then the one bad thing, of course, was the kicker, and I'm. You know me, I've been all over wanting Kensei to be able to stay. But the one thing I wanted to say to people today, if you're thinking about it, he did make one extra point. Okay, I'm not saying that he's going to beat back Matt Gay or anything, but he made one extra point. He missed two, and so a lot of people are just talking about what he didn't do, but he did that, and also his kickoffs. The two kickoffs he had, one went to the 4-yard line and one went to the 9. And so he did do some things right, okay, along with the things he did wrong. So anyway, I'm still hoping that he's going to be a practice player, and, we've talked about that. So anyway, I'm coming next week. I can't wait. Nice. And, we're going to see those whiners and give them hell.
There you go. I like it. All right, good stuff. Thanks, Just Win Wendy. Really good call right there. Definitely appreciate that. And, I look forward to seeing you next week there at Allegiant Stadium. And, the last preseason game of the preseason, then get ready for the regular season. And, I think that Kensei will definitely be a guy that they just put on the international program and then get him ready and see if he can continue to learn and grow. It just seemed like he had just had has a little bit of a confidence thing going on right now. But thanks so much for the call. That was Just Win Wendy. And she said, I'm a big fan of Amber Theoharis, and I'm glad that you are because Amber Theoharis joins us now on the phone lines from SiriusXM NFL and, of course, the Silver and Black Show. And, Amber, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you on this Aloha Friday. And what did you think about the way that game finished last night, that final drive that Aiden O'Connell went on, 96 yards, 8 plays, and no timeouts to ultimately win the game for the Raiders?
I think it's exciting, and hi to you said Wendy, and thank you, Wendy, for the nice words. I'm a big fan of you as well now, even though I don't know you. It was encouraging. Look, I think Aiden O'Connell is kind of this, conundrum, because it's like we know that as Kirk Cousins said, his best quarterback play is ahead of him. We know he's kind of had a raw deal in Vegas with multiple different coordinators and head coaches. And we also know he's fantastic in the pocket. He's not very mobile. And I think a lot of us would have liked to see him have been developed normally and not in such a kind of traumatic way, because we remember, what he did against the Chiefs a couple years ago. And I do think that he has tremendous amount of value. It's just he happens to be on a team that just took the number 1 overall pick of Fernando Mendoza and has a veteran in Kirk Cousins. So will they keep 3 quarterbacks? I absolutely think they'll keep 3 quarterbacks, but I think this was great for maybe increasing his value, because I think somebody will come to the Raiders and say, hey, oops, all of a sudden our big-time quarterback is injured, a torn ACL, whatever it is, and Aiden O'Connell's going to be worth something. So I think there's a lot of value in Aiden O'Connell, and you root for him because he's such a great guy. So it was impressive what he did. I mean, it's against backups, but it was exciting for the Raiders fans, to have a win, to be honest, and that's a great place to start. I know it's the preseason. I don't care what you say. You start a winning culture by just winning when you're asked to compete.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. It was a lot of fun. I was in the radio booth last night with Jason Horowitz and Kirk Morrison on the call, hearing that final drive, and that was entertaining and fun in itself. And you're right, winning's fun no matter what. If preseason, regular season, win, just win, right? That's what they say. Just win, baby. And that's what they ultimately did. And, Amber, what I really can appreciate about Aiden O'Connell, he's in there with the threes, right? He's in there in the second half. He could have said, you know what, I got plenty of starts under my belt. I've won games in this league. I don't need to be out here working my tail off to try to win this game. But he's always been a pros pro. Like, no, whatever's been thrown his way, he's always been a pros pro. I always respect that about Aiden.
Yeah, and I mean, if he just saw it as, hey, I've won games, I mean, that would be unfortunate. Was because he has nowhere earned his place in the NFL. So I would not expect any competitor in his position to feel like that. So I'm glad he didn't, but that's just not who he is anyway. Look, I mean, if you want to play in the NFL, every single snap you get, whether it's against third string in the preseason, it matters. And when you're young like him and you're still trying to prove your value, and you've won games, but you haven't gotten a full opportunity, every tiny opportunity is a chance to show what you got. And so, it was exciting. It was fun to watch. A lot more exciting than the 49ers-Chargers game, but it's the preseason, and I think there was a lot of, there were some good things. Like, I know you've been really high on Mike Washington, and so am I, but I'm just really starting to see not just him, but it's kind of like this new incoming of some younger running backs. I saw Kalen Black as well, over with the 49ers. Our old friend Sincere McCormick had a nice night last night. But for the Raiders, I think Mike Washington is a heck of a pickup, and he just gets overshadowed by Ashton Genty. But I'm excited about that backfield after I've seen training camp and now seen the preseason.
Yeah, I have as well, and I thought that he's been really good. And what the biggest key for me, Amber, with Mike is that when Genty's not in the game, the talent level's not going to really drop off. You know what I mean? Like, that to me is the biggest thing. You can still go operate your offense with Mike Washington in, just like you would operate your offense with Ashton Genty in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, Ashton Genty's a number 6 overall pick, and there's a lot more you can do with Ashton, and a little bit different kind of backs. But Ashton is not going to want to come off the field. He told me that. I even said to him, I was like, come on, man, like 25 carries, and you're in Denver, and, the oxygen levels are down. And he's like, no, I'm good. So he very much has that bell cow mentality. But the best thing about a Clint Kubiak offense, and we haven't seen it here in Vegas. We don't know exactly what it's going to be because everything's so vanilla in the preseason. Is that he finds a way, kind of like Kyle Shanahan, to use football players. It doesn't matter what position you are. He's going to find creative ways. If you can play football, he is going to find a creative way to use you. So I don't even think it's a matter of, well, we already have Ashton Genty, and he's going to be, when he has to come in the game, I think they'll find ways that are creative to use him because he's showing some flashes of what he can do. And I think that's, just like what Clint Kubiak said about the receivers. Everybody's like, okay, who's going to be the true X or who's going to be the true number one? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I really don't think it's going to matter. I think he's going to ask a lot of multiple different people, and multiple different people are going to be used in different ways and have their number called. So it's not as, black and white, first string, second string, that as we think it is. I think it's going to be really creative and interesting and fun to watch, quite frankly.
Amber Theoharis is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. Well, speaking of wide receivers, I asked Clint Kubiak earlier today what he thought about the wide receiving room after the 2 days, the joint practice and also the game last night. And he said that they took a step back, that they need to get better and they need to get better fast. They need someone that's accountable and that can help them on Sundays. When you hear that from the head coach, and you're in the wide receiver room in particular, what's going through your mind when you hear that?
That I need to do better. That's just kind of been the narrative is Trey Tucker, who's going to be the guy? Like Jalen Naylor. They went out and got him. They pursued him. They pursued him pretty early. Right. So they liked what he could bring. It's their job. None of those are superstars. It is their job to step up and grab a wide open opportunity. And if your head coach is saying that, you need to do better. And I just really was hoping Jack Bech would kind of step up and grab it. It's not to say he still can't do it, but in the AFC West, you're going to need to score points. And if you're always in 12 personnel and always relying on Brock Bowers, and the only two threats really in the receiving game are your two tight ends, that's a problem. So they will have to show that when their number's called, they can do big things. Like I told my daughter, you're going to play more in high school football. She plays. You're going to play more when you show that you can make a play. Right. It's that simple. So in these little opportunities, you need to make a big play and earn the trust of the coaching staff, and then your number will be called more. But they didn't upgrade the wide receiver one position in the offseason in a aggressive manner. They didn't draft a really high up wide receiver. They didn't get a big name free agent. And, here we are. And I did SiriusXM this morning, and, we were talking about the Jaguars game coming up tonight. And it broke my heart to hear our analysts talking about, Jacoby Myers is one of the most underrated receivers. I'm like, it should be nice to have him, because I feel like he was a one and kind of was never treated that way and never had the opportunity to really be that here. And it would have been nice to just, go out and get somebody like that. I know he's locked up with the Jaguars, but, I would have liked to see them be a little bit more aggressive in that area. But, it's early and somebody can still emerge.
As you always say, it gets laid early, though, right? So you say it all the time, and it'll always resonate in my mind when you say that. Again, Amber Theoharis is with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. Oh, before you hopped on, just when Wendy was talking about Fernando Mendoza and how she liked that, he struggled, he threw the pick six, but he didn't hang his head and he bounced back. What did you think about just Fernando and what he was able to do in the first half, the good and the bad?
Look, he's going to be just fine. I'm not worried one lick about Fernando Mendoza. It's not a matter, it's not if, it's just when he comes in. Right. And they have the luxury of Kirk Cousins. And Tom Telesco, the former Raiders GM, was on with me this morning at SiriusXM. And we, it's funny this debate about, they can just sit the young guy and they're going to start the veteran. And I'm like, we're cutting, in my mind, I think we're debating what's going to happen in the first quarter of the season. Like, I don't see it getting past the first quarter of the season without Fernando Mendoza coming in. I just don't.
Right. Yeah.
I don't. I think and Tom agreed with me. He's like, I think we're kind of debating, I think most people think, sure, Kirk is probably going to get the nod for week one. But week two could be a different story, or week three, and it just depends on how the Raiders look. And what I've seen from and talking to a bunch of experts, talking to a bunch of former quarterbacks, really picking the brains of people that I trust over the years as great scouts, they weren't looking at that pick last night. They were looking at things like, can he read defenses? How fast are his progressions? What is his footwork like? How quickly does the ball come out of his hands? How strong is his arm? And it's like check, 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 check. Oh, by the way, also, when he does throw a pick six, he puts it – I was like, slow down, buckaroo. You don't need to be chasing down homeboy and trying to stop the touchdown. Let's not get hurt. But I loved it. I was like – he's like, I made a mistake. It is my job to try to do everything I can to stop it, and you got to respect that. He takes responsibility. He's an open book. He's going to be just fine. And I hated that I saw there was like an ESPN headline, Fernando Mendoza struggles. And I was like, he made a mistake. It was a 50-50 situation. He made a mistake. Right. And that's going to happen with a rookie. And he's going to learn from it. But I will still die on this hill. And, I'm with my homie James Jones on this one. I will die on this hill that he is going to be better for playing. He is not going to be better on the bench. So if I was the GM, and I'm not, but if I were get him out there, unless Kirk Cousins is just amazing and they're 4-0, and you keep that going, obviously. But I think Fernando Mendoza has not showed us anything to say that he can't do what a Drake May did, or a Bo Nix early in giving him the reins. I think he's going to be just fine. He's going to take his lumps at times, and he's going to be a really great quarterback in the NFL.
I don't know what GM Amber Theoharis would bring to the table, but I think head coach Amber Theoharis would be fun. I think you'd be fantastic because you'd give us plenty of sounding boards. Like, I could just imagine you not liking how practice is, and you're like, all right, stop this. All right, let's do this. Are we here to play football? What are we doing? Are we going to practice today? What are we doing?
Well, that's when you would get Baltimore Amber. I mean, there would be a lot of podiums, like Riverboat Ron or whatever. Like, I would be Baltimore Amber because, I'd keep it 100 about my team. And, my head coaching career is starting. I was very proud that my sixth grade boy asked me to coach his football team. And I was, like, blown. I was so excited. I was like, I can do that? You're going to – it's cool. And he was like, yeah, Mom, more about football. I was like, yes, I've been accepted into the sixth grade flag football, that application was cleared. So I'm now going to do that. So maybe, who knows, maybe it's the NFL. But no, look, the Fernando Mendoza thing, I have not budged from what I have said. I think it's going to be earlier, sooner than later for sure. And I don't think we're going to get past the first quarter of the season without seeing him. Unless something miraculous happens, and that would be great. I would love to see the Raiders 4-0.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, winning is like I said, winning is fun, and I'd love to see this team winning, as all of Raider Nation would as well. What did you think about the decision not to play the first team offensive line, at least for a couple drives last night?
Yeah, I didn't love that, to be honest. I kind of want to see if we're going to really if you're really calling this a quarterback competition, and we just heard Clint Kubiak reiterate that, after the game and today, saying we still have another week. If you really are calling it that, I want to evaluate him behind the first line. I just do. I think it's fair because depth isn't the strength of the Raiders on the offensive line. It's just not. So it's a total different evaluation process. And so, yes, I would have liked to see him. If you're going to put him out there and you're still calling it a competition, I would like to see him with the ones, just to see what it looks like.
Yeah,
drive, 2 drives.
Right. Exactly. Especially since, you're still trying to figure out what that offensive line is going to look like, right? I mean, I don't think that they have set in stone yet who the starting five is, especially since we didn't see JPJ at all this week when he went down with something on Monday. We don't know what it is yet, but he didn't participate on Tuesday. He didn't play last night, so that's still TBD when it comes to his situation. I think the more that they can get some burn together, I think that makes all the sense in the world.
Well, also, Q, because, when I talk about, okay, if Kirk Cousins starts week 1, the number one thing we're all going to be looking at is the offensive line to gauge whether Fernando Mendoza, can play behind it. Why not get an earlier look at that line? Like get a better look at what you have, starting with the preseason, and get them more on the same page so that in a way then you're advancing the Mendoza clock, in my mind. Right. It's let's see him behind them. But again, I'm not a head coach, in the NFL, and Clint Kubiak is, more knowledge in his pinky, than I have in my whole arm. So, I trust what they're doing. They have a plan, and I respect exactly one thing I love about Clint Kubiak and John Spack, they have a plan. They have stuck to it. And I think it's going to lead to success for Fernando Mendoza, which is going to lead to success for the Raiders.
And that's all that you need. At the end of the day, you got to have success. There's no doubt about that. Again, Amber Theoharis is with us here at Raider Nation Radio 920. We'll close out with this, and fantastic stuff as always. Next Thursday, final preseason game, 49ers, Allegiant Stadium. What do you want to see? What are you kind of expecting to see next week?
Oh, man, I don't know. I mean, usually the third preseason, it's so weird now with the 3 preseason games versus the 4. I still am, not familiar with the rhythm, and I think a lot of teams are like, okay, some of us might start people, some of us might not. But I think we're going to see much more Fernando Mendoza. I think you're going to see a really focused Fernando Mendoza, too. I think just something tells me he hated making that mistake and probably thought about that one pick a lot. I would love to see some of the first-string offense. I would love to see some of the receivers that are fighting for the kind of that number one position out there as well with Fernando. So, I mean, I think they're going to use the entire preseason to evaluate everything. And I think Clint Kubiak is going to keep every position back. Nobody's going to feel comfortable, as he said, all the way through the preseason. They're going to keep the battle alive, to keep the competition alive, and then they'll settle on what they're going with.
There you go. Well, it's going to be fun. It's always great to be in Allegiant Stadium. Then the preseason will be over, and it'll be all about the real deal. Miami Dolphins, September 13th at Allegiant to kick off the 2026 season. Amber, great stuff as always. What are you working on besides everything that we should be on the lookout for?
Oh, my gosh, too much. Just, SiriusXM coverage continues. We were on this morning for 3 hours just taking everybody around the preseason camps. I think they still have the Giants. I'm not doing that one. But, and then it's the Silver and Black Show. We're kicking off week 1. And then Raiders Game Day back with Eric Allen and James Jones. You can catch us on YouTube after every single Raiders game. And a lot of different affiliates around California, the entire West, actually. Hawaii, we have some affiliates, Idaho, nice. And then, of course, Las Vegas. So check us out. We always love being together and talking Raiders. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, you guys do a fantastic job. I'm glad you mentioned Hawaii because today is Aloha Friday, so we got to show that love. So you know how it is. So there it is.
That's right.
Aloha Friday. Well, Amber, great stuff. Have a fantastic weekend. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Q. Talk to you soon.
All right, there she goes. Amber Theoharis, SiriusXM NFL Silver and Black Show, and now good friends with Just Win Wendy. So there you go. See how we do? We form relationships around here on Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920. I did have this one question, and then Ari, I know you got winning on the way. Our guy Dylan hit us on the text line. We smashed on the Dolphins week 1. 100% Kirk is going to ball. He's locked in, especially under Kubiak's offense that he knows so well. You don't think Bowers is going to be a problem? You don't think Genty ain't going to go crazy? Give me a break. Better center and way better play calling. And all I had to say is I don't even know where that came from. I don't even know where that came from. I don't even know what that was in regards to. So, okay.
I believe you said something last week about Bowers just being unguardable. This guy's amazing.
Yeah. I think I've said the whole time that ever since Clint Kubiak got hired, how much this is tailor-made for Ashton Genty to thrive as well. That's why I don't really quite understand where that comes from. Everyone's just applauded the Tyler Linderbaum signing, talking about better center. Yeah, I don't know. That's why my response to Dylan was, what are you talking about? Where is this coming from? So feel free to hit us back, Dylan. 702-365-9200. You know the number. Hit up the text line. That's also the number that Ari has for you as he gives something away.
Hit me up. Hit me back. Pair of tickets to see the UNLV Rebels. It's the season opener against Memphis at Allegiant Stadium coming up on the 29th of August. Tickets are in-house here, so you'd have to be a Nevada resident to get them, or call me right now, 702-365-9200. Caller 9.
That's a big ticket right there. UNLV going up against Memphis at Allegiant Stadium. College football is back. And we got your tickets in the building. Caller number 9, Ari's looking for you. 702-365-9200. It's Raider Nation Radio 920.
Takes the drop, hands it off to Washington, trying to follow the blockers. Bounces off to the midfield, and he's into the secondary. Washington to the 30 and just tripped up at the Texans 25. Jalen Smith tracked him down to save a touchdown, but he bounced off for 32 yards.
You're listening to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
Kirk Morrison calls him New York Mike, so we'll call him New York Mike. That's Mike Washington Jr. with the 32-yard run right there. Second week in a row, he's had a really big play from the running back position. He's a guy that I think most folks are really excited about what he can do from that running back position, along with Ashton Jeanty and this Clint Kubiak-led offense. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920. We will actually hear from Mike Washington in a hot minute. We threw the question out there, overall thoughts on what you saw last night, what you like, and what concerns you the most. And we also had a little back and forth with our good friend Dylan on the text line. And if you're just now tuning in, he said, we smashed on the Dolphins week 1. 100% Kirk is going to ball. He's locked in, especially under Kubiak's offense that he knows so well. You don't think Bowers is going to be a problem. You don't think Jeanty ain't going to go crazy. Give me a break. Better center and way better play calling. So my response to that was, what are you talking about? Where did that even come from? And he said it's in reference to people saying Mendoza needs to start and in reference to needing to see the starting offensive line. And my response to that is the starting offensive line, we don't even know who they are yet. They're still in a competition. Yes, they practice together, but they've also mixed and matched. They've had JPJ in the lineup. They've had Caleb Rogers in the lineup. They've had a variety of different guys. So they're not one oiled machine yet. And for the offensive line in particular, they are the one unit that needs to be a well-oiled machine. They are a unit that has to be all together and rowing in the same direction, as I like to reference quite a bit. They have to be on one band, one sound. That's who they are, more than the wide receivers, more than the running backs, more than the defensive backs, or even the defensive line. That offensive line is critical that they all are on the same page. And if you're going to put the franchise quarterback out there for a half of a game like they did with Fernando Mendoza, why not get a couple reps, couple drives with the first-team offensive line? That's all I'm saying. That really doesn't have anything to do with Kirk Cousins balling or Brock Bowers balling or Ashton Jeanty balling or Tyler Linderbaum being a great center. He could be a great center, but if the rest of the offensive line ain't worth a damn, then what are you getting? Right? Again, that offensive line has to be one unit. You can have one outstanding player, but if they don't work well together, what do you have? You have a leaky, I should say, not a sheiky, but a leaky offensive line. That's what you have, and that's going to allow sacks. That's going to allow guys to get through and disrupt the running game. That's just not going to work, and we've seen it up close and personal. So I guess that's the only response I have to that. Like I said, I don't think it really has anything to do with if you think Cousins is going to smash the Dolphins week 1. And oh, by the way, I don't think there's going to be any teams that are going to get smashed, especially in week 1, knowing that there's so much uncertainty with a lot of these teams, and guys aren't really playing. So week 1, matter of fact, the first 4 weeks of the season may be treated as basically a preseason and just trying to get into football shape. But thanks for the back and forth. I do appreciate hearing from you. Really good stuff. Let's go out to the Bay and talk to our guy Lester. Lester, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Q. Thanks for taking the call.
Yes,
so
sir.
It's that time of year. So we're getting going, and obviously Mendoza, he's going to take his bumps, right? He's going to take his bruises. He's got to learn from it. I mean, that play. I mean, it's just you can't go over the middle that late, right? The play with the fullback was right there in the flat, so we all know that and saw that. So I think this is all going to be a learning experience for him. He'll learn from it. I think I'd like to see Kirk Cousins get a series or two against the Niners, against the first team, with the first-team offensive line, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if Clint Kubiak's going to be doing that the last preseason game. My main concern is that right now I'd like to see, after cutdowns, I'd like to see 2 defensive tackles added somewhere. I think we still need more defensive tackles to compete. I'd like to see a veteran cornerback added to Robbie Leonard's defense. I think on defense, these guys got to get their fundamentals down, especially in the secondary. It's all communication and fundamentals and technique. And I think he's going to need another vet back there, I think, on the corner to compete with these younger guys. So I'd like to see that. Obviously, I'd like to see another receiver. I don't know if we're going to get another receiver. I think we're just going to be rolling what we have with the young receivers that we've drafted the last 2 or 3 years, and then this year as well. So, we just got to go play good football, fundamental football. Hopefully this team starts off well. 2 out of the 3 games, we win the first 2 out of 3, but because we know that the gauntlet starts week 4. Chiefs. Yeah. Patriots, Bills, Rams. That's going to be the gauntlet right there, and it's going to be tough. So hopefully we start off with a couple of wins, 2 out of 3, and then hopefully we sneak a couple, 1 or 2 wins in that gauntlet. But we'll see how it goes. It's going to be game to game, week to week. It's going to be a learning experience for the first-time head coach Clint Kubiak and also Robbie Leonard on the defensive side of the football. So hopefully these guys' curve is not too far of a curve, and they get it going and get these guys, fighting. It was good to see the second and third teamers fight all the way and battle all the way to get that win. So that was nice to see. And hopefully that, that's the way the team culture is, right? Battle all the way through, no matter what. All right, Q, thanks so much.
Hey, great call, man. Lester in the Bay, definitely appreciate you on this Aloha Friday. And, yeah, I did appreciate the fight all the way to the end. I thought that was really cool. And, we had someone question us on the text line earlier, why are you talking about Aiden O'Connell? Man, I don't have any shade towards Aiden. It's so funny. He's one of those guys that's like, you either show him love or you don't. And if you don't show him love, you're a hater. If you do show him love, you're stupid. It's so funny, man. It's like you can't just give a guy props for just doing everything he's been asked to do since he's been in the National Football League. A guy that's been through 5,000 different OCs and head coaches and has gone through hell and high water, but, he's just kept his head up and asked whatever he's been asked to do, he's gone out there and done it. So, do I think Aiden O'Connell is the future quarterback? No. Is there a chance that he's the future backup quarterback? Absolutely. We don't know. So at this stage of the game, while the roster is a 90-man roster and there's still a lot of different areas to talk about, we're going to do that. It's just that simple. Let's go out to the north, talk to our guy Vince. Vince, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Q, what's going on, man?
Chilling, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good on this Aloha Friday. I was just telling Ari, I left the barbershop and I'm feeling fresh, man. I'm so fresh and so clean, man. So I'm about to be getting into work looking real good, feeling good.
Nice. I'll be doing that tomorrow. I'll get my barbershop on tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, man. Gotta stay clean, man. When you rocking them Raider colors, gotta make sure you're looking pristine.
Absolutely.
But what I took away from the game yesterday, look, am I surprised that Fernando struggled? No. Am I surprised that Aiden O'Connell pulled an incredible win out of his behind? No. Simply because, what Aiden O'Connell and what Mendoza showed is it's just experience. Mm-hmm. It's Mendoza. It's his rookie year. It's his experience. And to all the haters out there, I would say us as a organization, us as a fan base, I think all the Raider fans should go to Aiden's page and congratulate him because that's just who we are as a fan base. So you got a big Aiden O'Connell up. Yeah, it's preseason, but there's no – dude, it doesn't cost nothing to show love to that man. That man has been a pro's pro. He's been with us for 3 years, and he's never requested a trade. He kept his head down. He worked hard. He endured all this pain and suffering like how we endured, and he goes out there and he handles his business. So shout out to Aiden O'Connell, man. I tip my cap to him. One thing I wanted to touch on, I think we found a gem in Mike Washington, man. I'm literally seeing Raider fans online argue about this is really our running back one, but y'all not ready for that combo. And then I'm seeing other Raider fans go, hold up, slow your roll. They'll pull up the tape from Genty playing Houston. So I'm like, oh, my goodness. And, Q, I wanted to ask you something because this is a big issue, and I heard a lot of people talking about it today, is the run defense. With this Christian Wilkins situation, it is so bizarre. Honestly, what do you think? I think we shake hands. He's the perfect piece there to help stop the run. You pair a man like him up with those linebackers, Max Crosby. You keep Butler fresh in and out of the rotation. Do we just give him a second chance? Be like, hey, let's be bygones, and moving forward because we need a DP. If we're going to be playing these games, hell, the Kansas City Chiefs just got Kenneth Gainwell, Super Bowl MVP. You know what I'm saying? So I'll leave that. I'll leave that question up to you. Should we take Wilkins back and let bygones be bygones? Because I think he'll fit well within his defense, man. Thanks for everything, Q.
All right, thanks for the call, Vince. Unfortunately, I think that ship has sailed when it comes to Christian Wilkins. I don't know I don't know the details of whatever happened. I just don't. I'd be lying to you if I said that I do. But I can tell you the fact that he is a really good player when he's healthy, and the fact that he's not on the team right now tells me a lot. Right? If Terrion Arnold can sign a deal with the Seahawks, or is about to sign a deal with the Seahawks, and other guys have come back from stuff that's gone on off the field, and Christian Wilkins hasn't even been heard of. Like, nobody's heard anything about Christian Wilkins. I think that tells you all that you need to know. So I not only believe that ship has sailed clearly for the Raiders, I think that ship has sailed, period. I would be surprised if you see Christian Wilkins play football again. And that's only because how long has it been, and we haven't even heard his name outside of a call here or a call there every once in a while. But that's just me. So, yeah, I don't know. They do obviously need to go ahead and address that defensive tackle position. There's no doubt about that. All right, do we have time to hear from Mike Washington? Are we good with that?
Oh, yeah, let's get it.
All right, let's go ahead. And he mentioned Mike Washington. A lot of people have been talking about Mike Washington. He is not running back one. He is running back two. He is a compliment to Ashton Jeanty. Jeanty will ball, to Dylan's point. He will ball, and Mike Washington is going to be a hell of a compliment. But he got caught up with in the locker room following the game last night. Here he is.
Every time you step on the field, you're kind of making something happen. Have you kind of felt the buzz building about what you're doing?
Honestly, I've just been focused on. I've just been being in the present. Being where my feet are, not paying too much, to any of the media stuff. Just been, play by play, day by day type of deal.
What about internally in your mind? I mean, do you feel that you're making an impression?
Internally in my mind, I'm just trying to do everything that I could do, to be on the field and to help the team win. And really just using each and every opportunity to, like I said, help the team win.
How much did the success you have in the joint practice kind of give you confidence going into this game against the same team?
I knew they had a pretty good defense, and I made a couple good plays during the joint practice. So after watching film, I knew, that I could, do the same thing in the game. Really just had to, do everything that I was doing in practice, do it in the game.
Texans were a team that I think talked to you a lot in the draft process, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, do those things stay in your mind? Like, all right, you guys didn't pick me, but here, I'm gonna give it to you?
I mean, I use a lot of different things for motivation. I wouldn't say that was one of them, but I do keep a lot of things in the back of my mind, for sure.
Even at the joint practice and today, going up against a great defense like the Texans, what did you kind of learn from that experience?
Well, one, we had 6 penalties for, 60 yards or 70 yards, I think. So from a team standpoint, really knocking those penalties down because, we put ourselves in, horrible positions, backed up, coming out multiple times. And, yeah, just the penalties, kind of just ate us up.
And this is just preseason, but it's Coach's first win as an NFL head coach. He said to him it didn't mean much, but he was more happy for you guys to be able to come back and get the win the way the team did. How much do you think it meant to him?
I think it meant a lot. We've been talking about these end-of-game situations, and to finally be able to work it in a game instead of practice, I feel like, he kind of enjoyed that, and we all did also.
Mike Washington Jr. in the locker room following the game last night, and as Adam Hill said, another game, another time he's out there, all he does is make some big plays. So hopefully that continues because, again, that's a nice 1-2 punch right there with Mike Washington Jr. and obviously Ashton Jeanty as well. We'll come back and close out the show hearing from you, 702-365-9200. It's Radio Nation Radio 920.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Zippies.
It is Aloha Friday, and we're going to close out really strong, send you into the weekend the right way on some good vibes, as we always do. We do appreciate that and appreciate you here on Unnecessary Roughness on Radio Nation Radio 920. Next Thursday will be the final preseason game, the 49ers at Allegiant Stadium. So if you're making your way here, like just when Wendy told us earlier that she is, maybe you get here a day early. And if you do, start your party with us on Wednesday at PT's Gold, 903 East Lake Mead Parkway in Henderson. Of course, I'll tell you about that a lot more leading up to it next week. But $3 Blue Moon and Coors Light pints, $4 Modelo pints, $20 Topo Chico buckets. You can win free tickets to catch a game at Allegiant, $100 Allegiant bar credit. And on top of that, you want to talk about responsibility. This is being as responsible as it gets. You can win a $100 Allegiant bar credit. You also can win a $100 Uber credit. How cool is that? You want to talk about tying it together. Look, give me $100 at Allegiant bar credit and then give me a $100 Uber credit. We're good. We are solid. I'm trying to tell you, it's a party, it's a party, it's a party, right? So you can also win team gear. You can obviously get that throughout the course of the game football is at PT's Gold, PT's Place, Great American Pub, Lucky's, and Sierra Gold. So that's going to be on Wednesday. This fine program that we call Unnecessary Roughness, 2 to 5 p.m. They're putting your boy on a field trip, and we do ask you to come on out and hang out, and we'll get you hooked up. So, again, PT's Gold, 903 East Lake Mead Parkway in Henderson. Of course, I'll tell you about it each and every day next week, but I want to go ahead and put that in your radar at this stage of the game. Real quick, want to close out with this really good text from Rob in Oakland, summarizing what he saw from the game, what he heard from the joint practice and all, and it's always great to hear from Rob. Houston has more individual talent and continuity than us, and it showed. Fernando's pick six was an unfortunate throw off his back foot late in the progression, and then everything moves. Nothing good was going to come of it. But on the other throws, he had great placement and showed his fast processor. He's a fast processor. I'm disappointed in the team IQ right now. DCAM should know better. We can debate the validity of the taunting call on McCoy, but I would prefer him to be more humble, especially since his knee may not hold up for long. Washington Jr. has been productive, but I don't like the way he holds the ball. He's got to get better security or he's going to get stripped. People want Tokyo on the practice squad, but for what? If he had Ray Guy's athleticism or a 60-yard leg, but he needed to refine his technique, I'd understand. He doesn't have a unique trait that's worth developing. Love him in his story, but don't see the practical payoff for us. That's Rob in Oakland. Always great breakdowns. And, with McCoy in that penalty, like I said, I hated the penalty. I get it, but I hated it. McCoy's got to go ahead and continue to, just gain confidence in what he's doing. Washington Jr., the ball security that you're talking about, that was his big knock in college, is that he put the ball on the ground, put the ball on the turf. He can't do that. That'll find your way to the bench. Tokyo Toe, like I said, I think he's going to be the international program where he can try to learn the game, and if he develops, great. If not, well, then they could do like they did with Laki Tasi. Thanks for the text, Rob. Appreciate you. Thank you, Raider Nation. Have a great weekend. It's Raider Nation Radio 920.